A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all-old-time radio.
Kroger Tender Ray Beef. No other beef so fresh can be so tender. Presents Hearts in Harmony, transcribed. K is for Kroger, C is for cut, B is for beef. KCB means Kroger cut beef, and Kroger cut beef means more meat for your money. Remember that fact, ladies. Remember that Kroger cut beef gives you more meat, less waste, and for this reason. Before the meat is weighed and priced, the Kroger method of cutting beef removes excess bone, excess waste, and stringy ends. Yes, that's before the meat is weighed and priced. And listen, you get the top U.S. government grades of beef. Yes, it's tender, juicy, rich red, and marbled with just the right amount of flavory fat. So you get better value in top-grade beef. Let's take a Kroger cut chuck roast as an example. Before the roast is weighed and priced, the Kroger method of cutting beef removes excess waste and stringy meat. You're bound to get a better value because you get more solid meat, only a minimum of bone. No matter which you prefer, steak or roast, you receive more meat, less waste in Kroger cut beef. But make that discovery for yourself. Visit your neighborhood Kroger store and make it a rule to buy Kroger cut beef. It gives you more meat for your money. And now, Hearts in Harmony. Freddy Lang's difficulties with Helen Burroughs have been straightened out. The police have escorted her out of Rossville, and it's evident that she's not coming back. Freddy has told his young wife, Nora, all about it, too. And as he should have known at the beginning, Nora was not the least bit upset. It's the following day now, and in the living room of the Gibbs home, Nora says to Penny,
"Crickets, Penny, wasn't it just like Freddy to think I'd be all upset about Helen Burroughs?"
Well, Nora, Freddy means well, but he gets confused sometimes. I told him in the beginning that he should tell you about Helen, but he wouldn't listen to me.
I think he learned his lesson, Penny, and if he's ever in trouble again, I'm sure he'll come right to me and tell me all about it.
Oh, I hope he has learned a lesson. I can imagine how you took the news about Helen.
I felt sorry for her.
Did you tell Freddy that?
I certainly did.
Darling, I knew you'd make it clear to Freddy that nothing Helen said would change your opinion of him, but I must say I'm surprised to hear you say you're sorry for her.
Oh, but I am, Penny, because nobody's really all bad. Freddy was bad once, and look at him now. And I think Helen could be the same kind of a person that Freddy is if she were given the chance.
No, I think you're serious.
Oh, yes, I am, Penny. I asked Freddy to try to get in touch with her and send her some money and, well, even invite her back to Ross.
Oh, no, you didn't.
I certainly did.
Well, from now on, nothing can amaze me.
What's so amazing about it, Penny? She's a person, and we all need things at one time or another, and some of us need them so desperately we do wrong things.
Maybe I should take back my amazement, Nora. Maybe I shouldn't be surprised. Darling, it's no wonder everybody loves you. You have the sweetest outlook on life of anyone I've ever met.
Well, if I have, it's because life's been awfully good to me. Oh, Crickets, Penny, all I want is for other people to have the same chance for happiness that I've had. I've been happy nearly all my life.
You're lucky you can say that, Nora.
I know I am. It's probably something Helen Burroughs can't say at all. I doubt if she's ever been happy.
You know something?
What?
You're beginning to make me see things your way.
Oh, no, don't if you don't want to. I may be all wrong.
Your thinking is too fair to be wrong, Nora. Perhaps you and Freddy should try and help Helen, but don't overdo it, for your own sake. Oh, before you know it, she'll be taking advantage of you.
I can't completely convince you, can I?
No, darling, not completely, but I'm convinced enough to feel that you're doing the right thing, providing, as I said before, you don't do too much of it. Well, it's getting kind of late, and I promised the Carpenters I'd be at the community center this morning.
Oh, you're leaving?
Yes, darling, I have to.
Oh, well, I want to talk to you about something when you get back.
Okay, I won't be very long. I have to go downtown for a few minutes after I leave the community center, but I should be home by noon at the very latest.
Oh, jeepers. Is this going to be some super swell, elegant place?
Hello there. Where'd you come from?
Oh, I just walked in.
The door was open, so I thought I'd come in and see what's cooking.
Oh, I see.
I guess you've heard what this place is going to be, haven't you?
Yes, I heard.
The kids all think the idea is simply terrific.
Oh, they do.
Well, outside of dates and what to wear, it's the gang's number one topic of conversation. We've read about community centers and places to hang out with the gang, but we never thought we'd get one in this slug town. My name's Hazel. What's yours?
Penny.
Hiya.
Hello.
I guess you're too old to know what this means to the kids, getting a place like this. You going to work here, though?
Oh, well, yes, Hazel, in a way.
Oh, jeepers, I sure wish they'd hurry up and get this place ready. We're sick of the neighborhood places and the joints downtown. I guess you're too old for those places, too, though, aren't you?
Well, I have a phenomenal memory. I can remember way back when I used to know the joints myself. Tommy, the Grill, the Iron Bear, the Parrot.
Hey, you've been around, haven't you?
A little bit.
Before our time, though. Jeepers, Penny, do you know when we can come in and take over? The kids want to know.
Well, I haven't quite... Oh, I mean, they haven't set a definite date as yet.
Wait a minute. Your name's Penny. It isn't Penny Gibbs, is it?
As a matter of fact, it is.
Oh, well, mow me down for straw. Wait till I tell the gang I met the big shot and pulled a silly. Oh, jeepers, Miss Gibbs, I didn't know I was...
Hazel, the name is Penny, remember?
Oh, you're even nicer than they said you were. And all the kids in Rossville think you're simply super flam god. Penny, it's really all right to call you Penny.
I don't know why not.
Oh, Jiminy, it's thrilling to meet the woman who was going to marry that rich Mr. Carlton. Penny, you're a regular celeb. You've no idea. Oh, I said the wrong thing. I'm sorry.
That's all right, Hazel.
Mother tells me they ought to have a class in thinking at school. Just nothing but thinking. I'm beginning to see what she means. Oh, jeepers. We were all awfully sorry when we read about that automobile accident.
Thank you, Hazel. But I suppose some good comes out of everything.
Yes. Yes, we're getting this place because of him, aren't we?
In his memory, Hazel.
What was he like, Penny? As terrific as he looked? I saw him once.
Yes, Hazel, he was as terrific as he looked. Would you like me to show you around the place?
Oh, jeepers, yes. I told the gang I was going to sneak in and try to get a look around. Oh, I'd love to have you show me. Pick me up for a full-leaf clover if this isn't being lucky.
All right, we'll start in here, Hazel. And don't hesitate to ask questions. Even make suggestions if you like. Because this place is being built for you. No, I'm home.
Oh, Penny.
No, I told you I'd back in the living room today. Can't you let anybody do anything for you?
Oh, crickets, Penny, I didn't have anything else to do, and it wasn't work. No, the house is all done.
I promised Freddy I wouldn't let you do anything
I didn't think you'd start singing Freddy's tune, too.
No.
How was everything at the community center?
Oh, the work's coming along fine, darling.
Good.
I had a delightful young visitor.
Huh?
Hazel Peters, very cute little girl. I spent an hour showing her around the place.
That's good. Guess almost all the youngsters in town are interested in the community center.
Well, I don't think we'll have very much trouble filling it.
The chances are you'll have trouble with overcrowding.
Well, we can always enlarge the place. Is lunch ready?
Almost.
Good, I'm hungry. Oh, you said that you wanted to talk to me when I got back. Or did I misunderstand you?
No, I do want to talk to you, Penny, but I don't know quite how to begin.
Oh, it's as serious as that, is it?
Well, no, it's nothing serious at all. I mean, nothing bad, but just, it's just something that, Freddy says we can move into our house in a few weeks.
Oh, I see what you mean, Nora. You'll be moving out. I realized that myself just the other day. I've been wanting to talk to you about it, too.
You know, all the time they've been building our house, I never fully realized what it meant, and strange as it may seem, I'm a little unhappy now that the time has come to move into it.
Oh, darling, you shouldn't feel that way. You're going to have a home of your own now. You should be thrilled to death.
Oh, crickets, I am, but Penny, I'm sad about it, too. Oh, I wish I knew how to tell you how I feel. I thought I could,
I know, Nora. And I can honestly say that I feel as you do. I hate seeing you leave. But then I'm only thinking about what I'm losing and not what you're gaining. It's been so wonderful having you here. And when you leave, I'll feel as if I'm losing a sister, Nora.
I feel as if I'm leaving home.
You're not, darling. What you're doing is going home. And for the first time, you and Freddy can live your own lives. You should be happy about leaving Nora. Even I'm happy about it when I think of it from your angle.
But, living here with you has meant a lot to me, Penny. Well, just think of everything that's happened to me here. Here's where I met Freddy and fell in love, and I was married here, and if I weren't moving away so soon, I'd be having my baby here, too. Well, Penny, I feel as if I belong here.
Until you married and needed a place in a life of your own, you did belong here, Nora. And except for the reason you're leaving and the wonderful things ahead of you, I'd like you to stay here always.
Penny, after I'd been here just a little while, I thought I was going to stay here always. And I wanted to, even though I knew I would be leaving someday. But that seemed so far in the future, I didn't think much about it.
And now that distant future is here,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I knew, too, that you'd be leaving someday. I didn't know how or for what reason. I hoped it'd be good, but I didn't dream it'd be this wonderful. Oh, Nora, we mustn't be unhappy about it.
I know, Penny.
It isn't as if you were moving to another part of the country or the world. Oh, Nora, you won't be very far away, and we'll see each other every few days, maybe even more often than that.
Oh, I hope so. I don't want our friendship to stop just because we stop living in the same house.
It won't, Nora. We have too many things in common ever to part company for good.
Yes.
And you and Freddy will always be members of the family.
The country cousins, I guess.
Oh, yes, but definitely the relatives we shun.
Seriously, though, Penny, since I am going to be leaving soon, you'll have to get somebody to take my place.
I'm afraid no one will ever take your place, Nora. But I will need someone to help with the children and the house.
Well, unless you've already thought of it, I have somebody in mind.
I haven't thought of it at all.
Well, you know the farm just beyond ours, don't you? The Grundy place?
Oh, I know where it is, but I don't know the Grundys.
Well, I know that Sarah Grundy is a marvelous housekeeper, and, she has practically nothing to do with the Grundy place anymore since her children have grown up. And I think she'd be wonderful if you liked her.
I imagine I will, don't you?
Well, Sarah Grundy is used to having her own way and doing things when and how she wants to do them.
Oh, I see.
But she's really good, and when you get to know her, you can't help but like her.
Well, we'll talk about it some other time. You're not leaving yet.
All right. And if we don't find somebody else, well, maybe I'll bring Sarah in to see you sometime. Crickets, Penny.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm being foolish, but somebody taking my place in this house makes me want to cry.
Oh, Nora. Darling, you mustn't feel that way about it. Don't you know that you're the one person I know who's found happiness? Darling, I'm flattered to realize that you feel some sadness in leaving here, but you shouldn't.
But I can't help it, Penny.
Yes, you can, Nora. Look, just think of what's ahead of you, because that's where your real happiness lies. And you really don't know how lucky you are.
So Nora Lang is soon to move out of Penny's house into a home of her own. Is this change in her household going to have an effect on Penny's life? And will Penny ever find the happiness that has come to Nora? Be sure to listen to the next dramatic episode of Hearts in Harmony. KCB, KCB. KCB means Kroger cut beef, and Kroger cut beef means more meat for your money. Right. Kroger cut beef gives you more meat, less waste, because before the meat is weighed and priced, the Kroger method of cutting beef removes excess bone, excess waste, and stringy ends. Take a Kroger cut round steak or roast, for example. The Kroger method of cutting beef removes excess waste and stringy meat before the steak or roast is weighed and priced. You get a minimum of bone, and you get top U.S. government grades of beef. Beef that's tender, juicy, rich red, and marbled with just the right amount of flavory fat. But visit your neighborhood Kroger store and see for yourself. Remember, whether you buy a steak or a roast, Kroger cut beef gives you more meat for your money. Ladies, make plans right this instant to visit your neighborhood Kroger store, the only place you can buy Kroger cut beef. Surprise and delight your family with a delicious and juicy steak or roast. And remember, in Kroger cut beef, you get more meat for your money, because the Kroger method of cutting beef gives you more meat, less waste. Make it a rule to get Kroger cut beef at your neighborhood Kroger store. Be sure to join us again tomorrow, same time, same station, for another thrilling transcribed chapter of Hearts in Harmony.
This is Walter O'Keefe, inviting you to listen in on the Nightline. Tonight, live the incredible life of ages yet to come, in a time that might be 1,000,000 years from now, on X-1.
Countdown for blast off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in 1,000,000, could be years, on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, presents X-1. Tonight, Point of Departure by Vaughn Shelton. But first, hear this. A garden party for a queen, and you're invited. A trip to Tokyo, and you'll go along. The Army football game at West Point, and you have a seat on the 50-yard line. These are just a few highlights of the weekend Monitor has planned for you. Tomorrow night, Jinx Falkenberg is your personal guide at the party being given for England's Queen Elizabeth in the garden of the British Embassy in Washington, D.C. Saturday, you'll be off to historic West Point for the great Army-Pittsburgh football game. And that excursion will be followed later in the Monitor day by a trip to Tokyo, where you'll visit the famed Japanese Kabuki Theater and the exotic Ginza nightclub district. Eleanor Roosevelt, Helen Hayes, Pat Boone, and Tony Perkins will be among the celebrities visiting Monitor this weekend. There'll be music, comedy, by Fibber McGee and Molly, Bob and Ray, features, news, and sports. So start your weekend right with Monitor on Friday night, and stay with Monitor all weekend long over most of these same NBC radio stations. Now, X-1 and Point of Departure by Vaughn Shelton.
Before I make this statement, I am well aware that you, gentlemen, are the board of directors and not likely to believe me. The overwhelming concrete fact that we face is that the Utah Flats atomic plant is short $300,000. You've asked for an explanation before the district attorney's office is called. I shall explain, but I know I will not be believed. It started with a letter I received from Dr. Winston Reed, the archaeologist. He is the top man in this field. You may have heard of the Yucatan discoveries and, of course, the Poseidon tablets found in the vault under the Sphinx. His letter introduced me to a Simon Kane, who flew in from Salt Lake City and made an appointment for the following afternoon.
Mr. Donner, I'm sorry that Dr. Reed has left again for the field. I should like to have him with me at this meeting.
Well, Mr. Kane, I don't quite understand why you've come to me. I'm merely a plant manager for Allied Electronics, and I have no interest in archaeology, nor have I access to any funds.
I'm not here on a begging expedition, Mr. Donner. I'll come right to the point. Do you know anything of the Poseidon tablets?
Well, I've read newspaper accounts.
The preliminary translations of the protolithic seals that surrounded the tablets indicate a civilization that flourished on the equatorial continent until it was destroyed by a natural catastrophe, identified as the biblical flood at about 10,000 BC.
Oh, really? I'm afraid I had it confused with the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Oh, well, the lay public has not been informed that the tablets have been opened.
Opened?
Why, yes. The original inscription surrounded them. They were in wedge-shaped characters on baked clay. They have been removed from the tablets.
Well, it's all very interesting, but really I think...
Mr. Donner, 14 tablets were never registered with the Egyptian Museum. They remain at large. 6 of them have been translated so far. They indicate a scientifically advanced culture, and particularly they concern themselves with a solar energy converter.
You mean that literally? A power source from the sun?
Yes. According to the preliminary translations, this solar converter delivers such fantastic power that it makes our nuclear source look as primitive as a windmill.
And I suppose that's why you've come to me.
Yes, we wanted to check the inscriptions against actual tests in the laboratory in the field.
Well, I'm quite willing to have my engineering staff look over the plans and give you an opinion if it will help you in your research.
Why, that seems quite fair. I'll bring them to your office in the morning.
I suppose I half believed him at the time. I had heard of the Poseidon tablets, and I knew that the frontier of archaeology had been pushed back far beyond current thought by them. You gentlemen of the board of directors will have to believe me that I suspected no fraud. I had no reason to doubt Kane. I called in Rowell and Henniger, 2 of our engineers, and left them alone with Kane. About 5 o'clock, I got Rowell back in my office.
Mr. Donner, it's remarkable. Quite remarkable. Of course, I don't quite understand the field mathematics involved.
Rowell, I want a simple answer from you because I'm a simple executive type. Will that thing work or not?
Well, of course, it'll need a field test, but theoretically I see no reason why it shouldn't.
Well, should we build it?
Well, there isn't any question, is there? It's revolutionary. Quite revolutionary.
All right. You and Henniger are assigned to it. I'll give it a project name in the morning and allocate a research budget. You'll be working with Mr. Kane. I took great care to protect the corporation's interests. I shall submit in evidence the contracts I drew up with Mr. Kane. I set Rowell and Henniger up in an isolated shop in the west corner of the plant area, and they had a device functioning within 3 weeks. A week later, I checked in at the shop again and found Rowell still working with the power unit. Naturally, I asked what he was doing.
You see, I'm getting ready to mount the solar energy converter on the projectile now, Mr. Donner.
What projectile?
Mr. Kane leased a surplus one-man rocket from the White Sands project. We're going to rig the solar unit in it.
You mean power a rocket with the solar unit?
You see, it's a question of field mathematics and the quantum...
Rowell, I'm an administrator, not a scientist. I ask you your engineering opinion. Is this a feasible research project?
Yes. Yes, it most certainly is. Using the solar converter, you could develop thrust up to escape velocity at only 10% of potential. This solar converter is creating more power than any atomic pile we have. Mr. Donner, this is it. Spaceflight.
You are listening to Point of Departure, tonight's attraction on X-1. This is... Now back to X-1 and Point of Departure.
Of course, whereas the purchase of the projectile was not authorized, I should like to point out to the board that I acted most conservatively. I checked the cost sheets and discovered that the rocket purchase was actually within the allowable debt limitations for my department, and so I okayed the project. However, I was concerned with the irregularity of an expenditure before authorization, so I drove out to Simon Kane's place to speak to him about it.
Oh, Mr. Donner, I'd like you to meet Porter Hayes.
Hi. How do you do? No, look here,
Mr. Hayes has agreed to fly the ship.
Look, that's what I want to talk to you
He's
about.
with the Pan-Columbian Project, and he's flown all the other types that have been flown so far.
This is the one that'll make history, Mr. Donner. This ship will fly anywhere in the solar system. Probably clear out to most other planets without even carrying a fuel supply. Best thing about it is the actual guarantee of a return trip. You know, those geniuses down at Pan-Columbia have plenty of ideas for getting you out there, but very few for getting you back.
I've been showing Mr. Hayes the photographs of the original tablets and translations. You see, Mr. Donner, aren't they beautiful work?
Kane, I want to talk to you in private. The cost sheets.
Hey, Kane, where's the last tablet? There are only pictures of 13 here.
That's right. The first 13 tablets take us through the construction of the unit and the ship and the inventor's 6 successful trial flights. The 14th hasn't been translated yet. It takes about a month to decipher each tablet.
You do it yourself?
Oh, no. That's a special study. My wife does it. She's an Egyptian scholar in her own right. Her father was Egypt's foremost antiquarian. I believe she's about to honor us with her... Nalja. I should like you to meet Mr. Hayes and Mr. Donner.
How do you do, gentlemen?
How do you do?
How do you do?
My dear, we thought you could give us a hint about the text of the 14th tablet. Are you far enough along?
No, I am sorry. I have only just started. The language symbols are a little different from the others, and it is a bit difficult to read.
Well, all I want to know is, when's the ship going to be ready?
In good time. It's waited 12,000 years. A week or two more won't matter.
During the next 2 weeks, I was too busy with other things to worry much about the project, but I would like to call the board's attention to the fact that I submitted multiple progress reports at 5-day intervals as required by plant operating procedure. I am at a loss to understand why those reports are now missing from the files. One evening, on a visit to Salt Lake, I was dining at the Pioneer Arms when I spotted Porter Hayes at the table across the room. He was with a young lady who looked familiar to me, even from the back, and, of course, I realized it was Nalja Kane. I felt it was discretionary on my part not to inform Mr. Kane of his wife's continuing acquaintance with Porter Hayes. On July 19th, Kane telephoned and said the airship was rigged and ready to go. I had assigned him an area in our desert test space, and we scheduled the test for the next morning. I got to the test site a little late. Everything was ready, and they were waiting for me. The gantry train moved back, and without the usual roar of chemical rockets or the scream of jets, the ship rose gradually to about 10 feet, and then shot up to a couple of hundred, and then stopped again. Kane was on the intercom.
Hayes! Is it firing right?
What did you say?
He's satisfied the craft works perfectly. He's going to take it straight out for 4 or 5 hours and then come back.
Well, he can't do that. There's too much he doesn't know about that ship. Tell him to come back.
Let him alone. He's making history.
But the first time...
There he goes. Well, I think I'll go down the road a few miles to get some breakfast. I'll be back shortly.
That was 4 days ago. I want it clear to the members of the board that I have not notified the authorities. The ship carried the standard survival kit with 7 days' ration and water, and if he had no operational trouble, Hayes could stay out at least a week. Other than filing the original flight plan with the Joint Astronautics Board, I had no other official obligation. When Kane did not return to the test site by noon, I went to look for him. Meeting with no success, I attempted to question Mrs. Kane at her hotel room.
I cannot tell you. I cannot tell you anything.
Mrs. Kane, this is a matter of vital necessity to our corporation. I have exceeded my research budget on my own responsibility. I must find your husband. If something happens to the rocket, there'll be an investigation. An official investigation.
It will all come out then, won't it?
What?
About my father.
Mrs. Kane, I don't understand. What has your father to do with this?
He stole the tablets. At least I thought he did.
You mean the tablets that you've been translating?
Yes, I thought he had stolen them. Simon Kane told me that. He brought me the cases soon after we were married. I helped him smuggle them out of Egypt to protect my father. He swore if I didn't help him to translate the inscriptions, he'd expose my father and disgrace him. But now it's too late. He's dead.
You mean your father?
Yes, he is. Porter Hayes told me. He called me this morning.
Well, that must have been before the test.
My father's been dead for 6 months. Murdered. Simon Kane murdered my father. He killed him and stole the tablets from him. Porter Hayes told me he has the proof.
Well, that's... I'm really sorry, but if Mr. Kane did come into possession of those tablets illegally, there will be a great deal of litigation. Patent rights, you know. That's our primary concern. Now, of course, we'll have to have whatever proof we can. The original tablets, any photostats, notes...
They are all gone.
You mean Kane took them?
He destroyed them. He burned them. He laughed at me this morning. He told me I could never prove they'd ever existed.
However, we do have the corroborative evidence of the solar converter, its plans at the plant, the prototype model, and, of course, the rocket.
Porter Hayes flew it, didn't he? He flew away.
Oh, Hayes, yes, but he's on the test flight. Now, as soon as he comes back, we'll have to get his affidavit. I'll admit I am at a loss to understand the absence from the plant files of all plans and prototype models of the solar converter. However, I am awaiting a report momentarily from our proving ground near Salt Lake on the return of Porter Hayes and the rocket. In the meantime, I am in receipt of a communication from Mrs. Kane, who had discovered a sketch of the 14th tablet, which remained unburned. She includes a translation, and I open this now in the presence of you gentlemen, and I include it in my report. I am convinced that the translation, which I have never seen before, will prove to you gentlemen my probity and my good faith in the corporation's behalf. And now I open the envelope. The translation, 14th tablet, and I quote, "The foregoing record is accurate, and we acknowledge a superlative contribution to science of the inventor." And there is a name here I cannot pronounce. I continue. "But we must admit his greatest contribution is in the proving of an axiom where ultimate force is involved. It is better to know none of the laws than to know most of them. On the 4th day, the aircraft returned from far space to the point of its departure. The aircraft was in excellent condition, but the solar converter was completely fused into a shapeless mass of metal. Of the inventor, the pilot of the craft, nothing remained but his clothing and a handful of white dust. I must conclude my report by proffering my resignation. I will be at the district attorney's disposal when you gentlemen of the board choose to call me in.
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, which this month features Willie Lay's factual account of the fascinating disappearance of the dodo. On with the dodo hunt. Galaxy Magazine, on your newsstand today. X-1 has brought you Point of Departure, a story from the pages of Galaxy written by Vaughn Shelton and adapted for radio by Ernest Kenoy. Featured in our cast were Dean Lyman Almquist as Mr. Donner and Ilya Braca as Mrs. Kane. This is Fred Collins. X-1 was directed by George Voutsas and is an NBC Radio Network production.
There's excitement in the air at night, and Nightline brings it to you. Hear Nightline with Walter O'Keefe, next on most of these NBC stations.
This is Nightline, your open door to people and places, and this is Walter O'Keefe. Nightline invites you to listen in on NBC's award-winning science fiction series, X-1.
Countdown for blast off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire. From the far horizon of the unknown come tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in 1,000,000, could be years, on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, presents X-1. Tonight, The Light, by Paul Anderson. But first, hear this. The glamour backstage at Broadway's newest hit musical show, the spectacular West Side Story, the novel experience of accompanying a congressman, Joseph Martin, as he searches out the complaints, compliments, and problems of his constituents on a grassroots tour of his district. The thrill of attending one of the top football games in the nation as Army versus Virginia. The excitement of spending late evening hours with the music of top artists performing in famous nightclubs in New York and Chicago. These are just a few of the highlights of the weekend entertainment Monitor has planned for you. Beginning tomorrow night, Gene Kelly, Milton Berle, Tab Hunter, and Tony Martin are among the celebrities who will be visiting you over the Monitor weekend. There'll be comedy by Fibber McGee and Molly and Bob and Ray. Music, news, and sports, all on Monitor. So why don't you start your weekend right with Monitor on Friday night and stay with Monitor all weekend long over most of these same NBC radio stations. Now, X-1 and tonight's story, The Light.
You really should feel highly honored, Professor. You're the only person I've been allowed to tell this to. And, of course, there's a good reason why you're being permitted to hear it. Why? I think you'll see why before I've finished. We're not a gang of power-nutty militarists, you know that. Personally, I'd like to tell it to the whole world, but it could very well touch off a war, and a war would mean the absolute end of civilization. There's one thing you should understand right from the start. Just because I know enough math and physics, just because I could pass the most rigid physical exam ever devised, doesn't mean I don't know anything about culture and art. When they picked me for the 3-man crew for the first landing on the moon, they were a little condescending about that side of my background. Baird, the skipper, and Hernandez, the engineer, the other two members of my team, were a little leery of me just because I could talk about art every now and then. They needn't have worried. Once we left the space station and got into orbit, we didn't have much to do for several days but talk.
Look at it. From this distance, you'd swear the Earth was uninhabited.
It's hanging like a big sapphire in the inky black.
Poetry. Don't you ever quit spouting it.
Why are you writing me all the time, Baird?
Maybe I don't trust a scientist who keeps talking about art all the time.
You think there's no connection between the two?
I know blamed well there isn't.
I always thought that when you got up this high, you could make out the continents. I can't tell where the sea ends and the land begins.
It's the clouds lying all over the surface that make it so tough. I think that's Russia coming into view, isn't it, Skipper?
According to the orbital schedule, that should be Siberia emerging from the Terminator right about now.
Are they watching us, I wonder?
Why not? They've got a space station of their own with good telescopes on it.
Yeah, and I'll bet they're hoping that we smack into a meteor.
Maybe they don't have to hope. Maybe they've already arranged an accident.
I doubt it, Baird. They wouldn't risk sabotaging us. Not on a trip like this with the whole world watching.
Because it might start a war? Don't make me laugh. Nobody's going to start shooting when they know the whole world will go up in smoke just to avenge 3 spacemen and a $10 million hunk of ship.
Ever hear of chain reaction? One sharp diplomatic note might set off the whole thing. You think our own government would be sending us to the moon if there were any military advantage to be gained from it?
Then what's the idea? Why are we doing this?
Prestige. Yeah. They put up the first satellite, built the first space station. Now we've got to be the first man to step on the moon, or the rest of the world will start looking on us as a second-rate power.
You make it sound like some kind of game.
Oh, it is, Hernandez. The deadliest game mankind ever played. One false move, and bang, the whole world goes up in a mushroom cloud.
How long will it go on? That's what gets me.
As long as there's a balance of power. But let one side, Russia or us, find a really new concept, something the other side doesn't even dream about, and it'll be all over.
Suppose they find it before we do.
That'll be too bad for us. The Cold War will be over, and so will we.
Why don't you shut up, the two of you? You both talk too much.
It was the wrong thing to say, I knew, out there in the great quiet night. We shouldn't carry our little hates and fears and greeds out beyond the sky and into space. Or perhaps the fact that we can be burdened with them and still reach the moon shows that man is bigger than he knows. I couldn't say. Anyhow, as the whole world knows, we made it. Our landing site hadn't been chosen exactly, but as you know, Professor, we came down at the foot of the lunar Alps, not far from the crater Plato. We felt no sense of pioneering when we touched down. We were tired and tense. It was merely a hard, breakneck job.
Hot rockets.
Rockets off.
Well, gentlemen, we're on the moon.
Can we open the viewports? I want to see this.
Go ahead, I'm bushed.
Look at that.
That light. I didn't realize it would be so bright.
It's a cold, eerie light. It's not like our deserts on Earth. They aren't as bright or as dead.
All right, that's enough gawking. Our orders are to draw lots to see who's first on the moon. All right, Hernandez, you draw first.
Well, Professor, we drew lots. And, of course, everyone knows who won. I did. I was to be the first man ever to set foot on the moon. At least for a little while, that's what I believed.
You're listening to The Light, tonight's attraction on X-1. Now back to X-1 and The Light.
We were in heavy spacesuits, of course, and it wasn't any too easy to move about, even with the light gravity of the moon. I stepped out of the airlock first, followed by Baird. I just stood there in the shadow of the ship, looking at the weird light, lost in wonder. I don't know how long I stood there before Baird spoke to me.
Well, go ahead. Go ahead, what? Make
The speech. You're the first man on the moon. You mean that prepared speech they gave us? No, thanks. We've got to make it. What's the matter with you? Your job to make the speeches. This is mutiny, you know. I ordered you to make it. I could make a suggestion. Why don't you write in the log that the speech was made and let it go at that? Judas Priest, man. All right. But if this ever gets out... It's our secret, Captain. Consider the speech made. Well, what do we do now? You start gathering rock samples. I'm going to take pictures. Come on the double.
So we went to work. I gathered some samples, and each time I did, I left a little mark in the dust on the surface. The traces I left would probably last until the sun burned out. It seemed like an act of desecration, though the landscape was ugly enough. No, that's not true. It wasn't ugly, only alien. You know, it was several hours before I could really begin to see anything. I mean, it took that long for my brain to start registering in this strange, eerie place. I remember pausing to rest a minute while I watched Baird making adjustments on his camera lens and snapping various bits of landscape.
Yeah, that ought to be a good one. You know, Baird, the thing that gets me is the light. It's no trouble. I'm using an F8 exposure this time. No, I mean the quality of it. It isn't like anything I ever saw on Earth. I wonder if it can be photographed. Of course it'll photograph. You know, in a way, it reminds me of that weird brass-colored light you get just before a storm on Earth. But it isn't the same either. No, I think I'll try an F11 setting. What I mean, though, Baird, is I don't think you can get the feel of this light in a picture. What you'd need for that is such a painter as hasn't lived for centuries. Rembrandt? No, it's too harsh a light for him. Cold light that's somehow hell-hot. Will you shut up? You and your blasted Renaissance?
Well, I suppose Baird had a point. This was hardly the place for a chat about art. We went back to the ship after that, had a meal and a nap before setting out for more explorations. We decided to take a look at the Plato crater, and conditions were right for it, so we set off. All three of us this time. I won't describe the walk in detail. I can't. It wasn't simply the landscape and the lighting. On the moon, your weight is only 1/6 as much as it is on Earth, while the inertia remains the same. It feels almost like walking underwater, but you can move very fast once you get the hang of it. After a while, we reached the crater wall, climbed it, and stood looking down. Then Hernandez saw something and let out a yelp that almost split my ear when I heard it on the speaker in my helmet.
Hey, look! What's the matter? What happened? There, in the floor of the crater, that mist. Yes, I see. Then they were right. Who? What are you talking about? The astronomers. They thought they saw something that looked like a mist in some of the big craters. They're right. It's right in front of our eyes. I thought there was no atmosphere here. How could there be mist? Maybe there's some kind of water table down on the floor of the crater. Hey, get back here. I want to go down for a closer look, Baird. And break your leg so we have to carry you home? No dice. You stay here. But we've got to find out.
He couldn't break anything wearing that spacesuit. They're like arms.
Stay here. I'll have your court-martial. Oh, Skipper, have a heart.
Yeah, come on, Skipper. We've got to find out what that stuff is.
In the end, we convinced Captain Baird, but he insisted we rope ourselves together before we made the descent. It was agonizing work getting down the lip of that crater, but we made it. We stood there silently on the floor of the crater, bathed in a cold, golden-white radiance. There's never been such a light on Earth. It seemed to pervade everything, drenching us, cold and white, like silence made luminous. It was the light of nirvana. And somewhere, somehow, I had seen it before. I stood there, unable to speak, until another yell from Hernandez brought me to my senses with a wrench.
Oh, no. It can't be.
Now, what's the matter, Hernandez?
Look there in the dust of the crater. Look and tell me I'm crazy. Good Lord. Footprints. Footprints of a man. Who? There's only one other country on Earth that could send a spaceship to the moon yet.
Yes, Hernandez. Russians. Are they still here, I wonder? We can't tell by staring at the tracks. They could be 5 hours old or 5 million years.
But why haven't they told the world? Why haven't they been bragging about it?
Why do you think?
You mean They found something of vital military importance.
Look up at the Earth. Maybe right now they're planning their next move. The last move.
I don't believe it. They couldn't have done it. They couldn't have kept it secret.
Why not? They could have taken off in a black ship when our space station was on the opposite side of the planet. How would we know? Come on.
Where?
Back to the ship, of course. They'll have to know about this in Washington immediately.
If they find out we know their secret, that could be enough, Baird. That could trigger the war.
I've got a code.
Are you sure it can't be broken? That it already hasn't been broken?
Shut up, you troublemaking whelp. Let me alone.
Just the same, Skipper. We better follow those tracks. See where they lead to.
We didn't bring any weapons. I'd be surprised if they were as careless.
Baird, listen to me. All right, court-martial me later if you want, but listen. We can't just go back to the ship, never knowing for sure what these footprints are and who left them.
How much looking can you do? In less than 1 hour, the sun will sink behind the lip of the crater. When that happens, it's going to get cold. Colder than anything you've ever imagined.
I've got a heating unit in my suit.
Good for 20 minutes at the most against a cold like that. Barely time to get back to the ship.
All right. I'll take the chance and get back in time. But let me follow those footprints, Baird. It's your duty to let them, Baird.
All right, permission granted. God help you.
Baird and Hernandez, still roped together, climbed the crater side and disappeared, leaving me alone, staring at the hobnail boot footprints of a man. I had to work fast, knowing that the sun would soon disappear and the awful cold begin. I went on, following the steps in the still, lifeless dust of the moon. At last, I came to the place I was looking for. It wasn't much to see. There was a long track of plowed dust and a chipped stone where something had landed and taken off again. And this was the astonishing thing, there was no sign of a rocket blast. A few scars where a pick had removed samples, footprints, and that's all. Someone, sometime, had landed here without rockets and had never told anyone about it. I looked up at the sky, saw the ruddy speck of Mars, and felt cold. Had the Martians beaten us to our own moon? But I had to get back now. Every second longer that I remained whittled down my chances of ever reaching the ship again. I was about to start back when something caught my eye. A big chunk of rock with something carved on it. Something unmistakable. A cross. A million suns wheeled and glittered above me. Then I knew. I remembered where I had seen that weird light which remained on the wall at sundown. And then I knew the truth. I turned and started to run for the ship. I almost didn't make it. Baird met me halfway, ripped off my pack, and connected another heating unit.
Jackass! Puddin'-brain fool! I'm going to have you up before a court-martial, so help me if it's the last thing
Even if I tell you who made those footprints in Plato?
What?
I can, you know. I've got it all figured out. And in a way, it's a good joke on you.
All right, back into the ship with you, and let's hear the whole story. And it better be good.
Of course, intelligence has been working night and day ever since we returned and made our report. They know we were telling the truth. And that's why you've been drafted, Professor. We're going overseas together, you and I. Officially, we're tourists. You search the archives, and I'll tell you when you've turned up something we can use. Oh, we'll find it. We'll find something. It couldn't have been done by rockets, you see. Even if the physics had been known, which it wasn't. The chemistry and metallurgy wasn't there. But there was something else. Anti-gravity? Maybe. Whatever it is, when we find it, the Cold War will be over and we'll have won. You don't get it? Professor, I'm shocked and grieved. You're a historian, a cultured man. All right, then. Our first stop is the National Gallery in London, where there's a painting called The Virgin of the Rocks. In that painting, you'll see a light, cold and pale and utterly gentle. A light which never shone on Earth. A light playing over the mother and child. And the artist, Professor, but of course you know the answer now. The artist was
Leonardo da Vinci.
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, which this month features the conclusion of an exciting two-part serial, Wolfbane, by Frederick Pohl and C.M. Kornbluth. Read it in Galaxy Magazine on your newsstand today. X-1 has brought you The Light, a story written by Paul Anderson and adapted for radio by William Welch. Featured in our cast were Carl Weber as the narrator, David Kerman as Captain Baird, and Bob Hastings as Hernandez.
Your announcer, Fred Collins. X-1 was an NBC Radio Network production.
It's a long way from the magic island of Euclidia to Hollywood, California. But the presence of the Euclidean scientists in Hollywood has reduced that distance to nothing. When Jerry and Joan went on a tour of Hollywood Boulevard, giving Joan her first view of the world in which most of us live, and contrasting sharply with her life on the island, the plan was to see a moving picture show. That plan was rudely interrupted, however, for as the youngsters stood on the corner of Hollywood and Vine Streets, a newspaper extra told the world of a strange event. 2 submarines have been found in the channel just outside Los Angeles Harbor. They must be Euclidean submarines, and a man who is disguised as a blind street vendor is identified by Joan as one of the Euclidean scientists. The young couple are in Mrs. Gregory's car, rushing to her home with the news.
Jerry, you are doing very foolish things with this motor car.
Well, I want to get to your mother's house, don't I?
But you are breaking many of the rules you told me about.
Well, this is the time to break them. Your mother and Captain Bradford can explain to the police. They'll see that it's time to hurry.
All this is very confusing to me. On Euclidia, all things were in order. Here in your world, all things are mixed up.
What's wrong now?
There are so many different names on the intersections of the streets.
You couldn't have all streets with the same name, could you?
But it would be possible to use only numbers, would it not?
It would not. The way some people write, the post office never would figure out where a letter was going.
But how does anyone ever learn all of these things? Oh, Jerry!
Oh, what's the matter now?
Nothing. Now? You nearly struck that other car.
You mean he nearly hit me, but he didn't. Well, here we are at your mother's house.
And I am glad.
Huh. After all the things you took me riding in on Euclidia, all those trick elevators and stuff, you've got a lot of nerve to talk to me about a little fast driving.
That was far different. On Euclidia, everything is mechanically perfect. Here, the human element is given too many opportunities to make mistakes. And your driving is a mistake.
Oh, okay. I'm a mistake. But here's the house. Fall out.
Fall out?
Yeah, get out. Jump out. Come on, hurry up.
I wonder if Mother and the captain will be here.
That's what I was wondering. You know, if they've heard about those submarines, they might have taken out for the harbor on the run.
Perhaps we should have gone directly to the harbor.
No, I think they'd want us to come here.
Jerry, do you just attempt to open the door and go into anyone's home?
No, not every day, but this is an emergency.
You might save time by ringing the bell.
Oh, so you learned we got doorbells in this country, have you?
To be sure. Mother let me ring the bell nearly all morning.
Huh. Fine business for a 15-year-old girl, ringing the doorbell all morning.
I had never seen one before.
I'll bet the servants loved that, learning to answer a bell all morning.
They did not do that. Mr. Johnson explained to them that I was only experimenting with it.
Some experiment. Well, maybe you had fun ringing it, but I can't get a sound out of it.
If you would open the door as I had it this morning, you would hear the bell ring.
Yeah, and if I could open the door as you had it this morning, I wouldn't need the bell.
Jerry, it opens.
Sure it does.
Come in quickly, both of you.
Mother, we have news.
Not here.
Gee, what's all the mystery?
Follow me into the radio room and I'll tell you. These stairs are steep and dark, so be careful.
Now, Mrs. Gregory, what is it?
Sit down there, Jerry, and you over here, Joan. I'll sit near the radio set so that I can use it quickly if text calls.
Where is the captain?
Now, one thing at a time. You've never seen this room before, have you, Jerry?
No, Mrs. Gregory.
Of course, Joan's never seen it.
No, Mother.
Then a few words of explanation might be in order. This room is soundproofed for a number of important reasons which I haven't time to go into now. However, I think that the various activities surrounding us this minute are of sufficient importance to warrant using this room for all of our discussions.
Then it's all right to say anything we want to in here, huh?
Perfectly safe, Jerry.
Okay. They found our submarine.
And the other which followed us to California.
Yes, we know that.
I thought you would. Got it over the radio, huh?
No, Johnson is at the harbor. He phoned us before the radio stations or papers had the news.
But they did find the subs.
Well, at least someone saw them, though Johnson was sure no one had been near enough to examine them.
Why were those submarines exposed in that manner?
That's what Johnson and Tex are trying to find out now.
Captain Bradford's going down the harbor?
Yes, he left the moment Johnson phoned.
What does the captain expect to learn?
Well, the most important thing is to determine whether any of the Euclideans left that submarine. We may find that they've landed a number of scientists here in town.
I'll bet they did at that. But there was one they didn't have to land. He's been here all the time.
Thales?
That's the one.
And, Mother, we have seen Thales.
You've seen him?
Joan said it was Thales.
Well, did he see you?
He spoke to us.
Spoke to you?
Uh-huh.
Well, when? Where?
Hollywood and Vine.
What was he doing?
He was disguised as a blind man.
See, we got an extra about the subs, and this blind man came over and asked us to read our paper to him. Well, I thought he was blind, so I read him the headlines and a little about what happened.
But you're sure it was Thales?
Perfectly sure, Mother. I know him well, and while he was reading the paper in Jerry's hand, I was able to see his eyes behind the glasses. It was Thales, without doubt.
Did he know you recognized him?
I am sure he did not, Mother. I gave no sign of recognition, and I did not tell Jerry what I had seen until Thales was some distance from us.
Well, I don't see where it makes any difference. He knew who we were, all right. He must have been following us all the time we were walking around the boulevard.
And if he saw you hurry off to us with this news, he'll know that you recognized him.
I think not. It was only natural that we should hurry to you with the news of the submarines.
Yes, well, that's so.
Well, I was a little surprised when Joan told me who he was, but now that I've had a little time to think it over, I'm not so surprised at all.
No, Jerry, it's only what we might have expected, and Captain Bradford was right. He didn't want you two to go out alone today, but I overruled him.
Oh, we didn't get hurt.
And I see no reason for any fear of Thales. Like all the other Euclideans, his interest in us is only relative to his interest in the captain's formula.
But don't you understand, Joan, that if they could kidnap you or Jerry, or any one of us for that matter, we would sacrifice the formula to secure your release?
Gee, I never thought of that.
Nor did I.
I've thought of it every minute since you've been gone.
Well, we weren't taking much chance, though. Joan and I'd be a couple of pretty noisy people to kidnap on Hollywood Boulevard in broad daylight.
Of course, we would not allow such a thing to happen to us.
Oh, I know you think you wouldn't. But suppose you discovered you were late for the show or late for dinner coming home. You wouldn't take time to look in the rear seat of the car very carefully, would you?
Golly whiskers, Joan. Your mother's right. If we hadn't run for the car the minute after we saw Thales, why, he might have hidden on the floor in the back.
That is true. And that is one more danger in your strange country.
Our strange country?
Yeah, I had that all morning. After all the danger and crazy things we went through on that island, Joan thinks it's more dangerous on Hollywood Boulevard.
Well, she may be right. On Euclidia, you're aware of your constant danger and take steps to protect yourself. While in this country, you wander carelessly around the streets without a thought of such things.
That is exactly what I was trying to explain to Jerry.
Oh, I can see it now. And it sure puts us in a hole.
We're in no danger as long as we remain in this house. We're guarded by automatic devices as clever as any on Euclidia.
Why do you have such a mysterious house, Mother?
Yeah, I asked her that a long time ago, Joan, but I didn't get any answer.
And I'm afraid the answers must be just as unsatisfactory this time, Jerry.
I think, Mother, that you and the captain are engaged in some enterprise which you prefer to have kept secret.
That's something like it, Joan, but more than that I can't say, except to assure you that whatever it is, it's entirely honest and to our credit.
Oh, sure, we know that. But I'd like to know a little more. Are you government agents?
Now, Jerry, please, no more questions.
Oh, okay.
And now I must call Tex.
You will not use the radio, will you?
No, that might be too dangerous. I'll use our private phone line to the station in Wilmington. Either Tex or Johnson will be there.
Well, Mrs. Gregory, I don't mean to butt in, but if Tex and Johnson are busy down at the harbor, well, I don't think you ought to bother them with our news.
Jerry is correct, Mother. Dailies can do us no harm now.
Well, I know all that. But it may help Tex to be fully informed. And not only that, I want to test this line. It may be tapped.
How can you tell if it is?
One of the captain's inventions. He has developed an instrument for testing the balance of a line which is so delicate that even a piece of metal touching that line at any point will register.
The captain is very clever.
Boy, and am I glad he is, with all the stuff that's going on around us now.
I'll set the automatic recording device and you may hear our conversation.
This is indeed a well-equipped communication chamber, Mother.
We use the recorder to transcribe important messages delivered while we're out. Now, if you'll both be very quiet. Hello, Wilmington.
Wilmington.
Jerry and Joan safely returned home. News of submarines is on the street.
Getting extras here now.
Any progress?
Not much. Johnson is working from amphibian plane. Water is apparently free of submarines now. What from your end?
Thales talked to Jerry and Joan on Hollywood Boulevard.
Repeat.
Thales talked to Jerry and Joan on Hollywood Boulevard.
Right. Any disclosures?
None. He is disguised as a blind man, apparently following them at all times.
Keep them home. Stay there yourself. Give the servants a week off. Set the automatic controls for the entire estate.
Servants gone. Control set. We will remain within the house.
Good. I'll call you at half-hour intervals, except return at sunset. Check your disturbance graph.
Checked. The line is open somewhere.
I thought so. That is all. Wilmington.
Now we can talk freely.
You were right. That phone line had been tapped, and those Euclideans, or one of them, must have heard all you said.
Undoubtedly, but we didn't say anything they didn't know.
The captain has learned very little at the harbor.
Oh, I'm not too sure of that, Joan. Tex sounded to me as if he could tell us a great deal more than he did.
Well, that phone line being tapped sure proves one thing to us. Daly's isn't the only Euclidean spy in town.
How does it prove that?
Well, he hasn't had time to get from the boulevard over to where he could tap this wire.
Quiet, Jerry. Watch that green light in the corner. There, see it flash?
Yeah. What's that?
The alarm. And it's the inside alarm. Someone is through the outer alarm and in this house.
But, Mother, how could they get through the outer alarms?
I had the gate open for you and Jerry. I set the alarms and closed the gates as soon as you came up the drive. I'm afraid you two had company.
Gee, we did forget to look in the back of the car, and I'll bet it wasn't empty.
The magic island of Euclidia seems to have as much effect on the lives of our friends in Hollywood as it did when they were on the island. Jerry and Joan went out in the afternoon, and one of the scientists met them on Hollywood Boulevard. When they rushed home to tell Mrs. Gregory and Captain Bradford that a newspaper extra is on the street with the story of the finding of their submarine, they found Mrs. Gregory alone. The house is protected by automatic alarms. The captain is down at the harbor trying to get further news of the submarine. As Mrs. Gregory explains the alarm system to Jerry and Joan, the signal light flashes in the radio room. Someone has managed to get inside the ground and is entering the house.
Yes, there it is again. Someone is getting into the house.
Well, let's go and do something about it.
Wait, Jerry, wait. We're quite safe in this radio room.
But, Mother, suppose they enter rooms where your valuables are kept.
We have a number of little surprises that will prove very interesting to anyone who goes too far. And we might do something very foolish if we tried to interfere just now.
You mean we just sit still and let the alarm catch whoever it is?
Well, something like that.
Is that possible, Mother?
Almost, Joan. If you'll notice that board where the green lights were flashing, you will note that there are a number of such small lights, and every one of them represents a room or a corridor in this house.
Then the progress of the person breaking in is visible to us at all times.
Exactly.
It's a swell idea to be able to tell just what room a burglar's in, but what good does it do if we just sit here and let him go through the rest of the house?
Well, there is one room, the study on the second floor, which will be easier to get into than to get out of.
Gee, a trap, huh?
You might call it that.
Will this person be caught in that room, Mother?
Yes. Our most valuable possessions are in that room, and naturally, anything we have which would attract the attention of a person clever enough to get into the house at all must be in that room.
I think we may safely admit the probably high intelligence of this person who is now going through your house.
Well, if it's one of those blame Euclideans, he'll be plenty smart, all right.
And I believe it is one of those Euclideans.
Mother, Jerry, there goes another of the green lights.
Yes, that's the main stairway. Apparently, our friend is making straight for the study.
I hope he gets into it quick. How does the trap work?
Well, every door and window in the room is closed by a steel panel the moment the room is entered by anyone who does not know how to set the switches before entering.
And those steel panels will hold the prisoner safely until you are ready to release him.
Exactly. Captain Bradford designed it, and we've caught a few burglars that way.
I wish he'd hurry up and get in there. Which green light is for that room?
Well, it's the center of the board, and is slightly larger than the others.
I see it.
So do I. Say, the light right next to it went on.
Yes. The study will be the next room entered.
Will another signal show when the steel panels have closed?
When that happens, an alarm gong will ring.
Will we hear it in the soundproof room?
Yes, Jerry. It's connected in here.
How long should it take?
Any moment now.
Say, Mrs. Gregory, I thought I saw the light next to that one flash on and off.
Next to it?
Yeah, just to the left of it.
There it is again.
Why, you're right. But I can't understand that. Why would anyone pass that room and start on down the service stairs?
Well, I don't know the answer, but from the way those lights are going on and off, he's leaving that room behind and leaving it fast.
May we not go out and intercept him, Mother?
Oh, I think not yet, Joan. If he hasn't entered that room, nothing of value has been touched, and we might find it very dangerous.
If it is someone clever enough to know that that room was a trap, might he not be clever enough to imprison us in this room?
Yeah, that's an idea. Maybe we're in the trap ourselves.
No chance of that, Jerry. In an emergency, this entire side of this room can be made to open out merely by pushing on it. And at the same time, alarms are rung at the police and fire departments. I think you'll find that we can get out.
This is sure some house.
It is indeed. I am surprised, Mother, that you and the captain should seem so impressed with the things you saw on Euclidia. You have nearly the same type of thing here.
Only in a few instances, Joan, dear. The captain is clever, but he's only one man, while Euclidia is a colony of the world's greatest scientists gathered for a purpose and devoting their lives to science.
That is true.
Well, that reminds me of something I've been wanting to ask you for a long time, Joan. If they're great scientists from all over the world, then a lot of people must know them. Why doesn't somebody worry about where these men are or ask questions about them?
I've often wondered about that, Jerry, and so has Tex.
I think I can answer that, or partly so.
Then hurry up and do it. The way things happen to us, I think we need all the answers we can get.
Are any of G47's men well known to the world, Joan?
It is my belief that a number of the scientists on Euclidia are men who have been well known in various countries of the world.
But if that's true, why didn't we recognize them? Tex knows most of the prominent men in science throughout the world. He's worked with many of them in laboratories and on expeditions. And surely he would have seen someone he knew on the island.
Well, the only thing about that is that all those Euclideans have that funny way of talking. They all use high, squeaky voices.
There you have hit upon the answer, if my belief is true, Jerry.
What do you mean, Joan?
For some time, in fact, since I have grown old enough to understand that there was another world than Euclidia, I have felt that everyone on the island was wearing a disguise and were disguising their voices.
Gee, maybe some of the men we saw on the island are men from this country.
They are from every country, of that I am sure. And most of them are men and women, famous men and women of all countries who have supposedly been lost with expeditions, or who were passengers on ships which were supposed to have sunk.
Supposed to have sunk?
Yes, Mother. I am sure that many famous people who were supposedly lost at sea and in the air are now associated with G47 on the island of Euclidia.
Golly whiskers. What an idea that is.
It's tremendous. Think what it would mean to the world if it could be proven that many of the famous characters of the last 10 or 20 years, supposedly lost forever, are members of G47's colony.
But why would they do a thing like that?
There are many famous people in all lands who are not satisfied with their lives, or who feel that they would have a greater freedom for their scientific work in such a colony as Euclidia.
I can understand that. But how did they learn of Euclidia? How did they reach the island, become members of the colony without the rest of the world learning of it?
Yeah. How did they know about Euclidia and how to find it?
I believe that G47 has ways of communicating with those persons whom he believes valuable to him.
But, Joan, G47 made it very plain that he considers Captain Bradford important. Yet he made no effort to get him to come to Euclidia.
He came to Euclidia, did he not?
Sure, but that was looking for you.
And how did the news that I was on the island reach you?
Joan, you're right. Why, you must be right. G47 allowed the news of your life there to reach us. when he decided the time had come to have Captain Bradford on the island.
Precisely.
And if that's right, then old G47 will keep trying to get Tex or his formula until he does get it.
I think so.
It looks very much as if our experiences with G47 have only started.
Sure looks like it. That old guy sure hangs on to an idea when he gets his hands on it.
And, Jerry, I think you are wrong about that also.
About what?
You always say old G47. I think that if the truth were known, G47 is a young man. I am sure he is under 40, and his beard and heavy glasses are worn only as a disguise.
G47, a young man?
Well, if he's under 40, he's certainly a young man, at least in the professional or scientific world.
Well, that sounds like it might be true. There ought to be some reason for those funny voices all those Euclideans use, and if they're doing this to disguise, that makes sense.
Indeed it does. But we'll have to forget that for a minute and remember where we are. Our visitor has left the house.
Oh, Mother, we were careless in talking so long. Now all those little green lights have gone out.
Oh, I wanted to go and catch that fella a long time ago. Now it's too late.
No, Jerry, that wouldn't have been wise. We're better off here. The alarm system showed that the study was not entered, and whatever our visitor came after, he didn't get.
Yeah, but don't you
Wait a
think...
minute, quiet, Jerry, quiet, please. Both of you be very quiet. Hello, Wilmington. Ready. Go ahead.
I've just made some important discoveries which I can't give you now. Have you had a visitor this afternoon?
Yes. The alarm system showed steady progress through most of the house. Jerry, Joan, and myself remained in this room.
That is excellent. Do not leave that room until I arrive.
When will that be?
Within the hour.
Isn't there anything we can be doing?
Nothing, except stay in that room. Do not leave it for any reason, and do not open the door.
I understand.
Johnson may arrive before I do. He has full instructions, but do not attempt to come out and meet him. He will release you. That is all.
That is all. Well, Tex certainly feels that we're in danger.
Yeah. He said not to leave this room.
Does that mean that the intruder whose progress we followed with the alarms has managed to secrete himself within this house?
Well, I would say no. Definitely no.
Then how's he going to hurt us if we go out of this room?
Well, I think it's highly probable that he's left some sort of trouble waiting for us out there.
That could easily be done. And the captain would know that if the element of danger to us had been safely placed from the outside, it may be safely removed from the outside.
That's it, Joan.
You mean that guy left some sort of a trap out there that's set to do something to us when we open the door? But if Tex waits for Johnson to get us out, we'll be all right?
That's the way I see it, Jerry.
And I feel that is correct.
Then it must be right. But why didn't the fellow, whoever he was, take his time and go through the study while he had us penned up in here?
Well, I think we'll find that this visit was purely one of testing our strength. An attempt to get our secrets would have been more carefully planned.
That is reasonable.
Maybe. But it looks to me like there wasn't much wrong with the way this one was planned.
The captain will be here within the hour, he said. Surely we can wait that long.
I know blame well I can.
And I, Jerry. There's no sense in running into a danger we know exists.
But one thing I'd like to know is how Captain Bradford, way down there at the harbor, knows more about what's going on here than we do.
That had occurred to me also.
And I'll have to refuse to answer. There are many things about this home and our system of communication which would add to your knowledge, but it would also add to your danger. And for the present, I feel that you're safer if you know very little about what's going on around you.
Oh, I guess so. But I'd still like to know.
Mother, what is that peculiar odor?
Odor, dear?
Yes.
You're right, Joan. I can smell something.
Well, I wonder...
Smoke.
Jerry.
I'm sure it is, Mrs. Gregory. I can smell smoke.
No doubt of it. There is smoke in this house.
Why, this room is supposed to be airtight except for the air conditioning.
Do you suppose that fellow set the house on fire?
Oh, I don't think so. But even if he did, we stay here.
Stay in this room with the house burning?
Yes, this room is fireproof, and it will stand alone if the rest of the house burns to the ground, and the study will do the same.
Are you sure it's safe to remain?
Nothing is ever absolutely safe where fire is concerned, but I'm sure we're safer in here than we would be trying to get out.
Well, I don't like it much. My idea about fires is to try getting out of them.
Would it not be wise to open the door slightly and investigate?
No, sit still, both of you. Tex said for us to stay in this room, to keep that door closed, and we'll stay here if the house burns down around us.
Sari was sitting on the porch resting when she first saw him. Not a tall man, a kind of softness about him, and round blue eyes and a round face. A sunburned mustache that drooped and made him look a little sad. He came walking out of the city with the graceful towers rising behind him into a hot blue sky, and for a moment he seemed unreal.
Excuse me.
Yes?
I'm looking for a place to stay. There doesn't seem to be many such places here in the city. I noticed your sign.
Oh, yes, the sign.
Excuse me, is anything wrong?
No, there's nothing wrong, but...
The sign says rooms. You do rent them.
Yes, that's right. Forgive me, I feel fine. I just wasn't myself for a minute. Of course I have a room. 3, in fact. You can have your choice.
Well, that's fine. Let me introduce myself. My name is Vincent Deem.
Oh, how do you do, Mr. Deem? I'm sorry, Charles. Why don't you come in? I'll show you the rooms.
Thank you very much. I'm very anxious to get in out of the sun.
This room's just like the others, Mr. Deem, except for the video set, and there's a health ray over the bed.
Oh, it's very nice, Mrs. Childs.
And the windows are shielded glass, of course.
How much is this room, Mrs. Childs?
A little more than the others. It's 30 credits a month.
I'll take it. Would you like the money now?
If you don't mind.
Oh, not at all. I'm sure I have some here in my pocket. I forgot.
What's wrong, Mr. Dean?
Oh, nothing. I'm afraid I have nothing but very large bills, that's all. I'll have one changed later today and pay you this evening if that will be satisfactory.
All right. I imagine you want to unpack.
I might as well. Oh, Mrs. Childs, one more thing. Does the price of 30 credits include meals?
Yes.
Oh, that's fine, thank you. I'm sure I'll enjoy dining with you, and, is it, Mrs. Childs?
Yes, and my husband works at the vitamin plant about a mile from here. He should be home for lunch any minute.
Well, I'll be looking forward to meeting him.
Yes. Well, please excuse me, Mr. Dean.
Why, Mrs. Childs? What's wrong?
Sorry? Got that chow ready?
Oh, David, you're late, dear. I thought you...
Thought what?
David, we have a new boarder.
Oh?
His name is Deem. Vincent Deem. He arrived this morning.
Sorry. Is anything the matter? Has this fellow got you upset?
Oh, David, it's ridiculous, really. He's very polite, but for some reason I can't explain it. He frightens me.
Where is he? I'd like to get a look at him.
He should be here for lunch. I didn't hear him go out.
What's it all about? What upset you?
Well, his clothes, for one thing.
His clothes?
When he came in, he was wearing a black coat with a little black velvet collar, and the sun was so hot. And there were small differences in the things he wears, in the cut of them. Well, they're just not like ours. Only I can't tell you exactly why. It's almost as if he just reached his hand into some ancient refuse bin and just took out the first thing he found.
I wouldn't have believed it.
Oh, what are you talking about?
Well, here we are, only 3 years from the dawning of the great new technological era of the 21st century, and you're seeing ghosts in old clothes.
Oh, I was afraid you'd laugh.
David went back to work, still laughing to himself. There was nothing wrong with the guy. Sari tried to rest and couldn't. The sun, even through the filtered glass, hurt her eyes. Mr. Deem hadn't come back, but she wanted to get out of the house. So she took the moving sidewalk to the market. Perhaps it was the heat or being in the house too long. Anyway, she spent an hour at the market and felt better by the time she got to the robot checker.
Mrs. Childs, there was a friend of yours in here about an hour ago.
A friend? Well, who was it? Ruth Harris?
No, Mr. Vincent Deem. He wished to write a check and cash it, but I had no record of him in my circuits. He gave you as a reference, and so I cashed the check. I hope that was all right with you.
Yes, Robert, of course.
He was very strange. He wished to know what year it was. I told him 1997, and he seemed happy and surprised.
He asked what year?
Very nice to see you again, Mrs. Childs. Come in often. Next customer, please.
The sun was still beating down, but the street felt cold. As Sari walked home, little hands of coolness seemed to run up and down her back. She went into the house and listened. Couldn't hear a thing, but she knew that he was in the house. He was in the house, and he wanted to know what year it was.
Say, Deem, what line of work are you in? Insurance. Good business. In the city? No, in another city. Oh.
Are you planning to be here permanently?
Yes, I believe I am. I had to leave that other city. I had some trouble. It was over a woman, but you don't want to hear about that.
Oh, well, go ahead, Mr. Deem. We don't mind, if it'll make you feel any better.
Well, one does have to talk to someone. A woman worked in my office, you see. A very fine woman. I loved her very much. But she was married and had two very small children. She knew she had a duty to her children and her husband. There was nothing between us, you understand. Absolutely nothing but deep affection. But her husband, when he found out and we had words, I felt it was better to leave the city. It was very unpleasant.
So, you came here to make a new start?
Yes.
Well, I can understand that, Mr. Deem. Can't you, Sari?
Yes, David, of course I can.
Mr. Deem left the house early the next morning. He said he was going to visit the various insurance companies and see about getting a job. And Sari, left behind in the house, felt like a spy, because she knew she was going to explore his room. She had to know. One by one, she opened the drawers in the bureau. Shirts, handkerchiefs, socks, 2 suits in the closet and his black overcoat, the suitcase on the floor. Everything seemed to be in order. She tapped the suitcase with her foot, then bent down and opened it. She looked inside.
Operator, Mr. Child, please hurry. Mr. Child is in the pyrodoxing department.
Sorry, for Pete's sake. You know I'm up to my neck in work this morning. I had to come all the way over from the bats to answer. Sorry. What's wrong with you? Move up closer to the screen.
David, I looked in his suitcase.
Deem's?
Yes, David. He's got things in it.
Things? Sorry, what exactly are you talking about?
Things in his bag. There's 3 wilted red roses. And a gun. Oh, I've seen pictures of them. I've looked them up in the historical encyclopedia.
Say that again.
A gun. And 3 flowers. Wilted flowers. 3 red roses. At least I think they're roses. Oh, David.
Sorry. Are you sure?
I tell you, I looked it up in the book, David. I looked up the list of all the things destroyed or outlawed during the bombings. I thought I remembered, but I wanted to make sure.
You're right, Sari. I know you're right. There haven't been any guns on the face of the earth since the war. There haven't been any flowers since the war of 1980. Sorry, I don't understand this, but I'll come right
Mrs. Childs. Oh, hello, Mrs. Childs. It's a bit cooler out this morning. I thoroughly enjoyed. Mrs. Childs, you're ill. Your face is so white. Mrs. Childs.
Harry, what in the name of heaven... Deem. Is that...
A gun, Mr. Childs. A weapon that can kill you. Come in, please. Sit down over there.
David, I'm sorry. I tried to warn you.
Never mind, darling.
Deem, you killed Freddy. Sit down. That's better. Where do you come from? From the year 1979.
But that's impossible.
No, David. You see the gun in his hand? And the flowers upstairs.
She's quite correct, Mr. Childs.
But how could it be?
If you check the list in the Historical Encyclopedia, the record of things destroyed or outlawed after the War of 1990, you will find listed a time warp machine designed in the year 1977 by scientists at the Los Oros Physics Institute. I was the horticulturist in charge of the grounds and gardens. I entered the machine 1 year before the war. They just might risk sending a man after me.
But why did you come to this here? Did you know that you were going to end up here?
No, I lied to you when I said I worked in insurance. But I told you the truth about the woman. She worked in the Physics Institute also, in one of the labs. I hated the man she'd married. I wanted to marry her desperately, but she said she had to stay with him. Then she said she was sorry for me. So one night, when the moonlight came down, white on mountains back to the laboratories, down on the rose gardens that were tended so carefully in the middle of that rocky desert, to give the people working there just a touch of beauty. In the middle of that night, when her husband was working late and she and the little girl stopped by in their automobile to pick him up, I was waiting in the shadow of the building with a gun I had stolen. This gun. I remember seeing their faces, the three of them, white in the moonlight. I raised the gun. The moon struck the barrel like white fire. And I shot. And I shot again. And again. And again. And killed one.
Presenting the transcription feature, Superman.
Look, up in the sky.
It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman. Yes, it's Superman, strange visitor from the planet Krypton, who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. Superman, who can leap tall buildings at a single bound, race a speeding bullet to its target, bend steel in his bare hands, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth and justice. But before we join Superman, listen.
And now to our story. In response to Editor Perry White's urgent telegram, Clark Kent, Lois Lane, and young Jimmy Olsen are speeding back to Metropolis aboard the Tri-State Limited, puzzled as to the reason for White's almost frantic summons. As we join them in a drawing room, the cracked streamlined express is thundering through the night.
Jimmy, you don't have to finish that box of candy in one sitting.
I've only had 5 pieces.
Only 5 pieces? Now go on, put the cover on the box. That's all we need now is take you off the train with a stomach ache. Clark?
Yes, Lois?
I don't suppose you've had any bright ideas.
Bright ideas?
You know what I mean. Have you thought of any reason for Mr. White wanting us back in such a hurry?
Now, look, Lois, it's 10:30 now. We just pulled out of Glenwood. The next stop is Walden Junction and then Metropolis, the end of the line. In exactly 27 minutes, you'll know all the answers.
Really, there are times when you can be the most exasperating person. How you can sit there with your nose buried in a newspaper is beyond me. Haven't you any curiosity?
Maybe the Daily Planet building burned down.
Don't be ridiculous, Jimmy.
Well, you can't tell.
Look.
Yes?
Exactly what did Mr. White say in the telegram?
Well, not very much. I told you.
You weren't very specific.
Well, neither was he.
Maybe a German spy set a bomb off.
Jimmy, little boys should be seen and not heard.
I'm not little, and a German spy could set off a bomb, couldn't he?
Yes, he could. Clark, haven't you any idea what Mr. White wants?
Oh, Lois, I wish you'd stop eating your heart out. We'll know exactly what he wants the moment we get in.
Do you think he'll meet us at the station?
I'm sure I don't know.
Talking to you is like talking to a brick wall. All right, go on, read your paper. As far as I'm concerned, I don't care.
Who's that?
Come in.
Excuse me, I got a telegram from Mr. Kent.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome, sir. You're welcome.
Well, why don't you open it?
I will. It's not going to fly away.
Jimmy, I said no more candy.
Oh, just 1 piece.
I said no more.
Okay.
This is strange.
Strange?
Yes.
What do you mean, Clark?
Another telegram from Mr. White.
Gosh. What does it say?
Listen. We'll meet you and Jimmy at Walden Junction. Tell Lois to proceed to Metropolis and report at office. Signed, Perry White.
Well, I don't understand that.
Mr. Kent and me are supposed to...
And I...
Mr. Kent and I are supposed to get off at Walden Junction. That's the next stop. And you're supposed to go on to Metropolis. That's right, isn't it, Mr. Kent?
According to the telegram.
So what's the idea?
I don't know, Lois. But orders are orders. Now, everything packed, Jimmy?
Yeah, except the candy. I'll carry that.
Clark, what's behind all this?
You know as much about it as I do. Yeah, that sounds like the station whistle. We'll be pulling in a minute or so. Put your coat on, Jim.
Why can't I get off at Walden Junction, too?
Well, I can think of one very good reason. Mr. White wants you to get off at Metropolis.
Something very strange about this whole business. Something I don't like. You're tossing it off much too lightly, Clark.
No, I'm not. But there's one thing you've got to remember, Lois. A good soldier takes orders.
I suppose so.
Come on, Jim. See you at the office, Lois.
Oh, boy. How much longer are we going to hang around the station, Mr. Kent? Gee whiz, that cold wind goes right through me.
Well, go into the waiting room, Jimmy. It's warm there.
No, I'd rather stick with you.
I don't understand this at all. That telegram was clear enough.
Oh, are you sure it said to get off at Walden Junction?
Positive. Right. Here it is. Now, let's look at it under that light there.
What does it say?
We'll meet you and Jimmy at Walden Junction.
Well, this is Walden Junction, all right. There's Mr. White. We've been waiting here for almost... What's the matter, Mr. Kent?
Jimmy, we've been tricked.
Tricked? What do you mean?
This telegram is a fake. It was written on a typewriter. I should have noticed that a long time ago.
Golly. But why should anyone send us a fake
There could only
telegram?
be one reason to separate us from Lois.
You mean...
Now, look, Jimmy, there's no time to waste. You trust me, don't you?
Why, sure.
Now, listen carefully. There's a local train coming through in 15 minutes. Now, here's some money. You buy a ticket and ride into Metropolis.
What?
Go right to the office.
You mean alone?
Yes, I have important work to do, and it must be done fast.
Oh, but
You said you trusted me, Jim.
Okay.
Good boy. Now, you stay in the waiting room until the train pulls in. If you get to the office before I do, keep mum about all this, understand?
Uh-huh.
So long.
So long.
Kick myself for falling to that fake telegram. Well, maybe it's not too late. Maybe I can still catch the limited. As Superman. No, Jimmy can't see me now. Just stepped into the waiting room. Up! Up! And away!
Streaking through the darkness, Superman follows the steel rails like a bird in flight. Picks up the Tri-State Limited halfway between Walden Junction and Metropolis. Dropping to the darkened observation platform, he enters the train as Clark Kent and hurries to the drawing room in which he left Lois.
Oh, this is it. Drawing room C, car 42. Lois! Lois! That's funny. Well, the door's locked. Lois! Lois! I don't understand it. Oh, Porter. Can you unlock this door for me?
Yes, Great day in the morning.
What's the matter?
Didn't you all get off at Walden Junction?
Yes, but I got on again. Can you unlock this door?
Well, there's a lady in that drawing room.
I know there is. The young lady who was with me. You remember, don't you?
Yes. Don't you answer?
No. Have you a key?
Yes, sir. Right here. I'll get the key. How you get off at Walden Junction? Yes, sir. Right here. There's her. She's open now.
Thank you. The room's empty.
Well, no, sir. That can't be.
I tell you, it's empty.
Oh, the train's halted, then. It's come down.
Yes?
Clark Kent is back, Mr. White.
Oh, he is he? Well, you'll send him in. I'll give him a piece of my mind. What's he think we're running here? A high school yearbook?
Tell us, White.
Close the door. Now, Kent, what's the big
Just a minute, please. Something serious has happened.
I'm glad you realize
I'm afraid you don't know what I'm talking about, Mr. White.
Oh, no, of course not. I'm a dope. An addle-pated fool.
Just a minute.
I don't understand English.
You can hold your temper and check for a moment. I'd like to discuss something with you.
No, you would. Well, where were you when I returned from Washington?
Now, look.
Did it ever occur to you that I might want to discuss something with you once in a while?
Take it easy, will you? You knew we were at the Barrow Ranch with Jimmy. As a matter of fact, we were just leaving when your telegram arrived.
My telegram?
Yes.
Are you crazy?
Well, you said you wanted us back at once, that something important had come up.
You're out of your mind. What? In the first place, I didn't know where you were. In the second place, if I had telegraphed, it would have been to tell you that you're fired.
Wait a minute. You mean to say you didn't send me a wire early this evening at 7 o'clock?
I did not.
Oh, wait a minute. Am I crazy?
I wouldn't be a bit surprised. Oh, where's Lois?
One thing at a time, Mr. White. You did send a wire to the Barrow Ranch, didn't you?
No, I didn't. Now, listen, Kent.
I don't understand this.
There are a few things that I don't understand either. Now, where's Lois?
I don't know.
Wasn't she with you?
Yes, but she disappeared off the train.
What?
Now, wait.
Disappeared off the
Please,
train?
let's get things straight. It wasn't you who sent the first telegram.
How many times do I have to...
All right.
Kent, if this is your idea of a joke...
It's no joke, Mr. White. It's pretty serious. Now, listen to me. Jimmy ran into some trouble at the Barrow Dude Ranch. Lois and I went up to straighten it out. We were about to return when a wire came through signed by you. It said to come back at once. Something important had come up.
I didn't wire you or anyone else.
I suppose not, if you say so. Well, anyway, we took the first train out, the Tri-State Limited. Just after we pulled out of Glenwood, the porter gave me a telegram. Again, it was signed with your name, and it said for Jimmy and myself to get off at Walden Junction and for Lois to go on to Metropolis.
I never sent that telegram either.
I know it. That one was a fake, but I fell for it. Jimmy and I got off. We waited around for 10 minutes before I realized the telegram wasn't authentic. Then I followed the train.
How?
Why, I hired a car.
You mean to say you caught the Limited in the car?
Well, you see, it was a fast car. I mean...
All right. Go ahead. Now, what happened?
Well, I got aboard the train. The door to Lois's drawing room was locked. The porter opened it. But she wasn't there.
Probably in the club car.
No, she wasn't. We searched the train thoroughly. She wasn't on board.
Kent, do you expect me to swallow that? The Limited doesn't stop between Walden Junction and Metropolis. She couldn't have gotten off.
Mr. White, I tell you, she wasn't on that train. She's gone. Vanished.
Now, look, Kent. Wait a minute. Perry White speaking.
Hello, Mr. White.
Lois.
Is Clark Kent there?
Yes, he is. But where under the sun are you?
Look, let me speak to Clark quickly.
Yes, but I know that. Oh, all right. Here, Kent. She wants to speak to you.
Okay. Lois, what in the name of
Look, I
heaven?
haven't much time, Clark. Listen, don't worry. Everything is all right. I'll call you at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning.
But, Lois, you
Goodbye.
Wait a minute, look.
Listen, Kent. What's this all about?
That's what I'd like to know, Mr. White.
Well, it looks like someone is weaving the web of a baffling mystery around Clark Kent, Lois Lane, and Perry White. How did Lois vanish from the train, and where is she now? And who was responsible for the false telegrams? This is just the beginning, so don't miss a single mystifying episode. Tune in and follow the story with Superman.
Don't forget, tune in again for the next thrilling episode with Superman.
Look, up in the sky.
It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman. Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Action Comics magazine. Presenting the transcription feature, Superman.
Look, up in the sky.
It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman. Yes, it's Superman, strange visitor from the planet Krypton, who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. Superman, who can leap tall buildings at a single bound, race a speeding bullet to its target, bend steel in his bare hands, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth and justice. But before we join Superman, listen.
And now to our story. Ordered back to Metropolis by an urgent telegram from editor Perry White, Clark Kent, Lois Lane, and young Jimmy Olsen left the Barrow Dude Ranch and caught the Tri-State Limited for the city. En route, Kent received another telegram from Perry White telling him to get off at Walden Junction with Jimmy and instructing Lois to continue on to Metropolis. When no one met them at the Walden Junction station, Kent examined the telegram closely and decided it was a fake. Leaving Jimmy to take the next train, Kent followed the Limited as Superman. Once on board, he resumed his reporter's disguise, only to find that Lois had vanished, was nowhere on the train. At the Daily Planet office, Kent was faced with more mystery. Editor White denied having sent the first telegram summoning them back. Puzzled, Kent was at a loss to explain what had happened to Lois or who was responsible for the mystery, when the phone rang and Lois' excited voice sounded over the wire. "I haven't time to explain," she said. "Everything's all right. I'll call you tomorrow morning at 10. And with that, she hung up. As our story continues today, both Kent and Perry White have spent a sleepless night worrying. It's 5 minutes to 10, and the two men are seated in White's office awaiting Lois's call.
There's something missing in your story, Kent. It just doesn't make sense.
I'm the first one to admit that, Mr. White. But there's nothing missing. I told you everything had happened.
Well, how did Lois get off the train, as you seem to think she did, if it didn't stop between Walden Junction and Metropolis?
I could answer that. I wouldn't be sitting here waiting for a phone call.
It's a lot of nonsense. She was on that train. You just couldn't find her. Probably didn't want you to find her.
Well, now, does that make sense?
Well, why not? Maybe she ran across a good story and didn't want you to horn in on it.
What about the telegram to the Barrow Ranch? She couldn't have sent that. What about the telegram I received on the train?
Wouldn't surprise me if she framed all that up to get you out of the way.
I doubt it. That must be Lois.
I'll take it. Hello?
Mr. White.
Lois, where are you?
I can't tell you now.
What do you mean?
Believe me, I just can't. Is Clark there?
Yes?
Let me speak to him.
You'll finish with me first. Now, look here, young lady.
Please, Mr. White, this is important. Put Clark on.
All right. Here.
And anyway, that at least gives us the point.
We've got to work fast.
Now, Lois, wait a minute.
Now, listen to me. I've uncovered the biggest story of the century.
Where are you?
Never mind that now. Listen, I need $20,000 in cash immediately.
I know.
I said that I need $20,000 in cash immediately.
Wait a minute. She says she needs $20,000 immediately.
Is she crazy? Let me talk to her.
No, wait. Lois, why must you have all that money?
Don't ask questions, Clark. Tell Mr. White that he'll get it back, but I've got to have it by noon today. Send Jimmy with it. Tell him to deliver it to, Now, wait a minute. You'd better let Mr. White bring it himself.
Now, look, Lois.
And stick around the office, because I'll have to phone the story into you when it breaks.
Lois, what in heaven's name is
Tell
this?
Mr. White to bring the money to 407 South Street. You got that? Now, I'll be waiting there for him. I've got to go now.
Lois, wait a minute. I want... Lois. Hung up.
What's this about $20,000? Is she out of her mind?
Oh, she said you're to deliver it to her at 407 South Street before noon.
Huh?
Yes, and I'm to stay here to get the story when she phones it in.
Story? What story?
I don't know. The biggest story of the century, she said.
No story on earth is worth $20,000.
Well, she said you'd get the money back.
And I'm to deliver it?
Yes, to 407 South Street.
Well, I can promise you it won't leave my hands until I'm certain I'll get it back. How does she want it? Cash or check, did she say?
Cash.
All right. But if this doesn't pan out, Miss Lane is going to be out looking for a job. I'm fed up with her shenanigans.
Lois wouldn't pull anything like this as a joke.
Well, I hope not. I'll have to call Darwin, the cashier, and have him run over to the bank. Did she say anything about big bills or small bills?
No, just $20,000 in cash.
No, this newspaper business is a madhouse. Oh, Miss Harvey, get Darwin, the cashier. Tell him I want to see him immediately. Yes, that's all.
I don't understand what Lois can possibly have up her sleeve. My mind's a complete blank.
If you ask me, hers is, too. But don't worry. Nobody gets a dime of that $20,000 until I see what's what. Come in. Yes, Darwin. Come in. You know Clark Kent?
Yes, of course.
Hello, Mr. Darwin.
Darwin, I want you to issue a check for $20,000.
20,000?
Yes. Make it out to me. I'll endorse it. And then send it down to the bank and get it cashed.
You mean you want $20,000 in cash, Mr. White?
Yeah. Have it issued in $1,000 bills. And you better hurry. There isn't much time. Well, what are you waiting for?
$20,000 in cash.
I'm in a hurry, Darwin. Get going.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. $20,000.
Now, what was that address, Kent?
407 South Street.
What time is it?
10:15.
Mm-hmm. And she said to deliver the money before noon, didn't she?
Yes. Maybe I'd better go along with you, Mr. White.
What? Don't you think I can be trusted?
Oh, it's not that, but I just thought...
I won't need any bodyguard. And anyway, you're supposed to stay here to write the story of the century when Lois phones it in. Story of the century. I'll lay 10 to 1 this is all a lot of nonsense.
I don't think so.
We'll find out soon enough. I'm going down for a cup of coffee. You hang around. When Darwin comes back with a check, tell him to wait.
Okay.
If anyone calls, I'll be back in 10 minutes.
Right. What in heaven's name would Lois need with $20,000? Oh, sir, there's something wrong somewhere. No, I'm going to check just for fun. Operator, get me information, please, will you? Thank you. If I only knew how and where she got off that train, I might be able to see...
This is information.
Oh, information. I'd like the telephone number of a house at 407 South Street.
What is the name of the party?
I'm sorry, I don't have the name, just the address. 407 South Street.
One moment, please.
Thank you. Come in. Oh, yes, Mr. Darwin.
Here's the check for Mr. White to enjoy.
Yes, come in and sit down, will you? Mr. White will be up in a moment.
I'm sorry, sir, but we have no number listed for 407 South Street.
Are you sure?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. White went down for a cup of coffee, Mr. Darwin. He should be back in a moment.
It's quite all right, Mr. Kent.
Won't you sit down?
Thank you. You excuse me if I seem a little nervous.
Nervous? Oh, what's the trouble?
Well, $20,000 in cash is a lot of money, Mr. Kent.
Oh, yeah.
I'll have to go to the bank for it myself. I wouldn't dare trust anyone else. $20,000. I've never seen that much money at one time, ever.
Oh, here's Mr. White.
Oh, yes.
You got that check, Darwin?
Yes, sir, right here.
Good. I'll endorse it. Now, why in tarnation's name that secretary of mine can't learn to keep ink in this desk is beyond me. It's always empty.
Yeah, I have a fountain pen, Mr. White. Right there.
Thanks. There you are, Darwin. Now get the cash back to me as fast as you can.
Yes, sir.
Oh, wait a minute. Here's your pen.
Oh, thank you, sir. I wouldn't want to lose it. I always say a man's pen is perhaps the most...
Yes, of course, Alvin, of course. Now, get that check cashed quickly.
I'm going to the bank myself, Mr. White.
Fine, but don't waste any time.
No, sir.
Anyone call, Kent?
No, but I checked on 407 South Street. No phone.
So what? Every house in Metropolis isn't equipped with a telephone.
No.
Some of them haven't even got bathtubs. Does that surprise you?
You don't seem to be taking this seriously, Mr. White.
Well, what do you want me to do? Call out the state militia?
Well, hardly, but I do wish you'd let me go along with you. After all, $20,000 is a lot of money to be carrying around with you. Anything might happen.
Well, now, don't worry. Nothing's going to happen.
All right. You're the boss. I got some work to do in my own office. I'll be waiting for the story.
And don't hold your breath.
Well, it's 12 noon. I should have heard from Mr. White or Lois by this time. Wonder whether... Oh, maybe that's the call. Hello?
Kent?
Yes, Mr. White. Well, I wondered what happened to you.
Everything's okay. Lois uncovered a whale of a story.
Oh, that's swell. I'm ready to take it.
We can't give it to you yet.
What?
No. Now, listen.
Yes?
I'll need another $20,000.
Well, what?
Yes, and I must have it fast.
Well, wait a minute now. How am I going to get it? Darwin won't give it to me.
Who?
Darwin, the cashier.
Oh, yes. Well, tell him I said it was okay.
That won't be enough. What are you doing with all that money?
Never mind. I'll call Darwin directly and tell him to give the money to you. Deliver it to 407 South Street as fast as you can.
What's this all about, Mr. White?
I can't tell you now, but it's terrific.
Well...
I'll call Darwin. And don't waste a second getting over here.
Yeah, but
So long.
Mr. White, where are you calling from? Mr. White? Hello? Hello, Mr. White?
I'm sorry, sir, but your party disconnected.
Okay, can you trace the call?
We have no way of tracing a call once the party disconnects, sir.
Oh, all right, thank you. Something very queer about all this. And I think I know what it is.
Well, if Clark Kent does, he's smarter than we are because, frankly, we're puzzled. Why does Perry White need another $20,000? And what is the story that Lois has uncovered? Something is going to break soon, so don't fail to be on hand when it does. Tune in and follow the exciting story with Superman.
Don't forget, tune in again for the next thrilling episode with Superman.
Look, up in the sky.
It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman. Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Action Comics magazine.
Kellogg's Pep, the build-up wheat cereal, invites you to rocket into the future with Stand by to raise ship. Blast off -5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Rolling rockets blast off to distant planets and far-flung stars. We take you to the age of the conquest of space with Corbett, Space Cadet. Over the dense jungles of the Amazon, a Solar Guard jet ship blasts through the stratosphere. Aboard the speeding craft, Cadets Tom, Corbett, and Roger Manning, accompanied by Sally Wood, are on their way to Amazon City to try to clear themselves of charges that have made them fugitives from the Solar Guard.
Hey, Tom,
Something's coming in on the radio.
I'll bet it's Captain Strong. He must have received our message, Roger.
It sounds like nothing but static to me.
Well, it's coded, Sally. Our solar guard code. Here, I'll set the scrambler.
Come on, Roger. Clean it up. We're getting close to Amazon City.
Yep. There. I've got the right setting now.
Captain Strong to Cadet Corbett. Captain Strong to Cadet Corbett. Come in. Come in.
Tom Corbett here. Go ahead, sir.
Where in the universe are you?
Near Amazon City, sir. Did you get the message I piped to you?
Yes, and I was certainly relieved to hear from you. There's a dead or alive warrant out for your arrest.
We know it, but I explained what happened. You believe us, don't you, sir?
I do, Tom, but the orders for your arrest can't be officially canceled until there's been a hearing. So, as far as the Solar Guard is concerned, you and Manning are still fugitives.
That's all right with us, sir. I think it will help us to get those plans from Anders.
Now, listen carefully, Tom. I can be in Amazon City by noon tomorrow. I'll come out of the Solar Guard headquarters building at exactly that time. You and Manning watch for me from across the boulevard.
Right, sir.
I'll get on the northbound slidewalk. You two follow me on the opposite side, and we'll meet at the first changeover junction. You got that?
Yes, sir.
Tom, look at the radar screen.
Great Jupiter. Those are Solar Guard interceptors.
And they're after us.
Tom, what's going on?
Solar Guard ships. We've got to duck them. See you in Amazon City tomorrow, sir. End transmission.
Tom, can't we outrun them?
I'm wide open now, and they're gaining.
What will they do?
Blast us out of the sky if they can. They're firing now.
That was close.
That one hit us.
Hold her steady, Tom.
I can't. The controls don't answer.
Look out. Pull up or we'll crash.
I'm doing my best.
We're headed straight for the jungle.
Hang on, Sally.
Watch it. Brace yourselves. We're going to hit. Oh, brother. I never thought we'd walk out of that one alive.
Oh, it was a beautiful landing, Tom.
Lucky we found that clearing. We just managed to shoehorn in.
Look out. The Solar Guard jet. Hit the dirt.
Did they see it?
I don't know, but we can't stay here now. They'll drop a detail of parapolice down to investigate.
Yeah, we'll have to start moving.
But where can we go?
I noticed a house from the air. It's over there beyond that next hill.
Okay, any port in a storm. Let's hike. Say, look at that place. What a joint.
Why would anyone in his right mind build a mansion like that out here in the jungle?
Well, look, they have an air car. See it parked over there?
Yeah. Maybe we can get a lift to Amazon City, Tom.
I sure hope so. That way we can meet Captain Strong and figure out a way to locate Anders before he knows we're on his trail.
Tom, look. There's someone coming out of the house.
Well, maybe he'll help us out. Hello there.
Well, hello.
Offer to pay him for the lift, Tom. I've still got some of those credits left.
Was that your jet that crashed from the other side of the hill?
That's right, sir.
We're lucky we're still alive.
Indeed you are, Miss Wood.
What? How did you know my name?
Let me introduce myself. I'm Wayne Anders.
Anders?
That's right. And believe me, I'm most happy to offer you the hospitality of home. I insist that you stay with me for a long time.
We'll return to the exciting adventures of Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, in just a moment. So stand by.
Spaceman, if you want to start out tomorrow ready for action, you just hurry on down to the breakfast table first thing in the morning. When you get there, eat the breakfast cereal that's tops with the Cadets at Space Academy. Open up a package of Kellogg's Pep and pour out a bowl full of good eating. Right at the first swell-tasting spoonful, you'll say, Jumping Jupiter. No wonder Astro, Tom, and Roger go for Kellogg's Pep. This is great. And you know, besides rating ace high for flavor, Kellogg's Pep gets you set for a real energy send-off in the morning. When you rocket off to school or out to play, Kellogg's Pep helps you to travel at full space speed. Pep gives you other important food values, too. Food values that help you build strong bones, strong teeth, strong muscle. Ask your mom to set you up with Kellogg's Pep every morning. Then you'll be starting the day just like Tom, Astro, and Roger. And whether you're heading out to Saturn's rings or down to the field for a ball game with your pals, remember,
Start your day the spaceman's way with a build-up wheat cereal, Kellogg's Pep. P-E-P. Pep.
When Tom, Roger, and Sally Wood survive the crash of their jet in the Amazon jungle, they stumble upon a big house hidden deep in a steaming valley. But when they seek help there, they are confronted by Wayne Anders, the man they have been hunting down. Now, some hours later, in the basement of the mansion.
Of all the rotten breaks, we ran right into that space creep's hands.
I'm more worried about Sally, Roger. I wish Anders hadn't separated us from her.
Yeah, the poor kid must be scared to death.
We're in a real tight spot. Unless we can find a way out of this hole, we won't meet Captain Strong in Amazon City.
Oh, we might as well forget about that. Just look at this place. Bars on all the windows, and the only way out is that steel door that leads upstairs.
I'm not so sure about that.
Huh?
Roger, do you have any money?
Yeah, some of those credits left, but...
No, not paper money. I need change. Small change.
Oh, well, let's see. Yeah.
Well, let me have that dime.
Here.
Uh-huh. Thanks. Let's see.
Hey, what are you fooling around with that ventilator duct for?
This may be our way out. This is part of the air conditioning system. So this duct must lead to a vent upstairs somewhere. And it's big enough to crawl through.
Hey, maybe you got something.
Now, if I can only loosen these screws, we can pull the screen off.
Here, let me help you.
Well, I'm getting this one.
Well, I'll work on this side.
I figure we can lift this whole section out. Then crawl up the duct and force open a grate upstairs.
With our luck, we'll probably wind up right in Anders' lap.
It's a big house. He can't be everywhere. There. This side's loose.
Just a couple more turns over here. That does it.
Good. We've got it. Help me ease the screen off.
Okay. Now, with any kind of a break, we'll be out of here in no time.
Okay, Roger. There's no one in the hall. Crawl out, quick.
I'm sure glad to get out of that dustbin.
Hey, look. Over there on that table.
A portable shortwave set. Hey, our luck's changing.
We'll take it along. And as soon as we're clear of this place, we'll contact Captain Strong.
Wait a minute. What about Sally?
We'll try to find her right now. Come on. Through this archway. Come on. Hey, what in blazes? It's an alarm. We must have walked through the beam of an electric eye. Yeah, there it is in the archway.
Blast it. Now we'll have the whole house on our necks.
Come on, we've got to get out of here.
But where'll we go?
The jungle. It's our only chance. Step on it.
Hey, Tom, can't we hold up for a minute? I'm beat.
Okay, Roger. We'll take 5, but no more.
We must have shaken them. We've used every trick in the book.
I don't see how they can pick up our trail for hours now.
Say, don't you think we ought to raise Captain Strong on that shortwave set you took?
Good idea. Well, it works all right. So far, so good.
Well, get to work.
Calling Solar Guard headquarters in Amazon City. Calling Amazon City, Solar Guard headquarters. I'm trying to contact Captain Strong. Come in if you read me. Cadet Tom Corbett here.
Corbett, I have a message for you, Corbett. Come in.
Hey, that's Anders' voice.
Blast it.
Go ahead, answer him. Maybe he wants to make a deal.
I hear you, Anders. What do you want?
Your position is hopeless, Corbett. Unless you and Manning surrender at once, you'll never see Sally Wood alive.
Oh, he's bluffing. If anything happens to Sally, he'll never get the information he wants from her father.
I know, but he's in a corner now, and he's desperate.
Did you hear me, Corbett?
Yes, I hear you.
Hey, wait a minute. Hey, why'd you cut off?
We're a couple of lockheads. He's using my voice to get a fix on our position.
Jumping Jupiter, I never thought of that.
Hey, listen, what's that?
Hey, don't tell me he's caught up with us already.
Well, take it easy. It's not Anders. Look.
It's like the rings of Saturn. A monkey.
Yeah. He sees us. He's coming over this way.
Well, he won't find me here.
Oh, study your gyros. He's friendly. Just curious about us, that's all.
Well, I'm not curious about him.
Well, come here, fella. Now, don't be afraid. We won't hurt you.
Hey, what do you know? He's as tame as a kitten.
I told you. He just wants to make friends.
Hey, what in the universe?
He just wants to try on your hat.
Come on, give it back. Okay, we won't fight over it. Keep it.
He looks better in it than you do, Roger.
Hey, what's eating him now?
Roger, look. Over there, the way those bushes are moving.
It's Anders. He's caught up to us again. Let's blast! Okay, Tom. Slow down. I think we've lost him again.
Damn. I only saw Anders.
Well, he had his stooge with him. Juan. The one who locked us in the basement.
Oh. Here comes our old pal, the monkey. He certainly didn't lose us.
You know, Tom, I still can't figure out how Anders tracked us so fast.
Yeah, just what I've been wondering. Even if he got a fix on the set when I was talking to him, there just wasn't time.
Hey, wait a minute. Let's have another look at that set. Some of those babies have concealed tracer beam senders on them.
You're right, Roger. It's here. A UHF sender.
And we've been carrying it around with us the whole time.
All Anders had to do was monitor it and follow the beam, which means we haven't lost Anders. He may not be far behind us.
Well, go on, smash it.
No. Hold it a minute. I've got a better idea. If Anders wants to follow this set, we'll let him.
What do you mean, Tom?
Well, there's no time to explain now, Roger. Just watch me. Mr. Anders is going to have a long walk for himself.
Over this way, Juan. According to the monitor, we're closing in.
We have been close to them before, Senor Anders.
We'll get them this time. I think they're lost. They've been traveling in a circle for the last half hour.
Sir, look. The other side of the clearing. Something moved.
There they are. Shoot!
Oh, Senor, he's only a monkey.
With a shortwave set on its back.
They have tracked us. They have escaped.
Not yet, they haven't. They're either headed back for the house to get the girl or for Amazon City to contact Captain Strong.
But which?
Listen, Juan. I'm going back to the house and guard the girl. You go ahead to Amazon City. You can still beat them if you take the lower trail.
Si, senor.
Find those cadets before they reach Captain Strong. And shut them up for good.
Well, there's Solar Guard headquarters across the boulevard, Roger. But I don't see any sign of Captain Strong.
What time is it, Tom?
3 minutes after 12.
Blast it. Maybe we've missed him.
That's what I'm beginning to wonder. No. Now, there he is now, coming down toward the slidewalk.
Come on, let's get on the northbound walk on this side. We're to meet him at the changeover point.
Right. The captain just stepped on the northbound walk on his side. Hop aboard, Roger.
Go ahead, I'm right behind you. Hey, Tom, don't look now, but we're being tailed.
What?
It's that Juan character that works for Anders. He just boarded this slidewalk.
Uh-oh. Anders must have sent him to keep us from meeting Captain Strong.
What can we do? The minute we're clear of this crowd, he'll probably blast us.
We've got one chance. Listen, when we reach the junction, get off the slidewalk and duck down behind the wall right next to the exit.
I get it. When he steps off the slidewalk after us, we nail him.
That's it. We each grab an arm, but try not to attract any attention.
Maybe we can hustle him into the monorail terminal before he knows what's happening.
We'll try it. Watch it, Roger. Here's the junction. Step off. Down behind this wall, quick.
Here he comes.
Nail him. Okay, Mr. In here.
What? Let go. My arms. Let go.
Move and keep your mouth shut.
You cannot do this to me.
You want to bet, senor?
Enter the terminal, quick, Roger. Now, up against that wall, Buster, and hold still.
Let me go or I call for help.
Just try it. I'll push my fist clean down your gullet.
I hope Captain Strong saw where we went.
Yeah, I was counting on him taking it from here.
Here he comes, Roger. Right on course as usual.
You cannot hold me here.
Cut your jets, mister. We're giving the orders now.
What's going on here?
This is one of Anders' men, sir. Sent to intercept us.
That is a lie. I am an innocent citizen. I demand my right.
Now, you'll get your rights in court. These cuffs ought to hold you.
Oh, no.
Now, you just stand there and keep quiet.
Si, senor.
Now then, what gives with you two? Where's Miss Wood?
She's still a prisoner in the Anders place, sir. We had to run for her.
Well, then we've got to get her out of there. I'll order a detachment of men.
No, sir, that won't work. If Anders finds out the Solar Guard is after him, he might kill Sally.
Let Tom and me go back there, sir.
We know the layout of his place now. We can take him by surprise and then wait for the Solar Guard to move in for the arrest.
That might be the best plan. All right, carry on.
I'll take this man back to headquarters and then arrange for a detail to follow you. Oh, one thing more.
Yes, sir?
Stay clear of any Solar Guard units. You're still fugitives, and we can't broadcast a retraction without alerting Anders.
Don't worry, Captain. We'll be careful.
Yeah, extra careful.
We're almost there, Roger. As soon as we cross that gorge, we'll be inside of Anders' place.
Then the real fun starts.
Great galaxy! Hit the dirt!
Oh, brother, those guys are close.
Try to crawl over this way, Roger. There's a big log to our left.
Tom, we're surrounded. Anders must have been tipped off.
They're not Anders' men, Roger.
What?
They're Solar Guards. See them over there?
By the moons of Jupiter, you're right, Tom.
This is one for the books. We're trying to save Sally Wood, and we're going to be knocked off by our own men, the Solar Guard.
We'll return to the exciting adventures of Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, in just a moment. So stand by.
Say, Spaceman, how are you coming along with your collection of Space Cadet picture cutouts? You know, you can get as many as 4 different Space Academy favorites, full-length pictures of Astro, Roger, Tom Corbett, and Dr. Joan Dale. These picture cutouts are swell for making Space Cadet settings. Just imagine one of the exciting adventures the Space Cadets have been on. You draw a picture of it and put the cutouts right on the setting. You can even make a stage and have the picture cutouts reenact all your favorite Space Cadet adventures. If you haven't got Space Cadet picture cutouts yet, you want to start your collection right away. Ask your mom to get you a regular-sized package of Kellogg's Pep. Look on the back of the package, and right there, you see your own Space Cadet cutout. It's a full-length picture made from an actual photograph. Each cutout shows you an official Space Academy uniform, too. Cut the picture out of the box, make a little stand for it, and you're all set for a Space Cadet adventure. At the same time, you'll be all set to dish out the best-tasting wheat flakes that ever got covered with milk and sugar. Pep gives you that tasty whole wheat and malt flavor that just tops everything. And remember, there's a Space Cadet picture cutout on the back of every regular-sized package of Pep. So don't delay. Ask for the Build-Up Wheat Cereal, Kellogg's Pep. P-E-P. Pep.
Meeting Captain Strong in Amazon City and arranging for a rescue party, Tom and Roger proceed alone toward Anders' hideout in the jungle. Their plan is to free Sally Wood before Anders can carry out his threat to kill her. But the boys walk right into an ambush and are pinned down by the blazing guns of a Solar Guard patrol.
We're trapped, Tom. They've got us surrounded. There's only one thing left to do, Roger. We'll have to surrender and try and convince the officer in charge that we're no longer fugitives.
But suppose we can't convince him.
It's either that or be blasted. Here, let me get my shirt off.
Careful, Tom. Keep low.
Now, I'll just put this shirt on the end of a stick and wave it over our heads.
Come on, hurry up.
Here goes.
Say, they stopped firing.
All right, you two. Stand up so we can see you. Now keep your hands on your head and stand still.
Okay, we're not moving.
That's Corbett and Manning?
Yes, sir.
I'm Lieutenant Blake of the Solar Guard. You're under arrest.
You're making a mistake, Lieutenant. We've been cleared of all charges.
Knock it off, mister. I'm taking you in.
Sir, you've got to listen. We're trying to get to the Anders house beyond that gorge. A girl's life depends on it.
You two are going back to Amazon City with me. Guards, take these men to the plane.
Where is your plane, sir?
On the other side of the gorge, across that bridge.
Thank you. Come on, Roger.
What's wrong with you, Tom? We've got to get away.
We're going to.
When we get in the middle of that bridge. You mean jump into the water?
Yes.
Hey, that's a long drop.
All the better. When we hit the water, we'll stay under and swim for the bank. There's plenty of cover there.
Do you think we can reach the Anders house before they catch up with us?
It's worth a try, isn't it?
I suppose so. Okay, we're over the water. Ready?
Yeah. Let's go.
They're trying to escape. Cut them down. Miss Wood, I'm afraid I have some very unpleasant news for you. Those friends of yours, the cadets, have reached Amazon City and have reported your capture.
Oh, I knew they'd do it. I knew they'd help me.
You're wrong. Now I have no choice but to kill you.
No, let go of me.
sorry, Miss Wood, but under the circumstances...
Circumstances have changed, pal.
What?
Watch it, Tom. He's got a gun.
It won't help him.
Nice work, Tom. He's all racked up for the freezer.
Better grab his gun.
Sure thing.
Oh, Tom, Roger, I thought...
Easy does it, Sally. Everything's going to be okay now.
Yeah, the skipper's on his way out with a detachment of men. He'll mop up Anders' whole mob.
What about the plans? Are they still in the house?
Yes, in the safe upstairs. I know exactly where they are.
Good. Well, I guess we can relax until the skipper gets here.
Great idea. Come on, Sally. You sit over here with me. I've got a lot of things to tell you.
Oh, no. Not again.
Don't miss the next action-packed adventure with Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, on Tuesday, when the crew of the Polaris rockets beyond Pluto to meet danger in deep space. Tune in, same time, same station on Tuesday for the next thrilling interplanetary adventure with Tom Corbett, Space Cadet.
Brought to you by Kellogg's Pep, the build-up wheat cereal.
Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, starring Frankie Thomas, can also be seen on television and appears in the comic sections of many of America's leading newspapers. Look for it daily and in weekend editions. Featured in the cast are Jan Merlin, Edward Bryce, Ivor Francis, Grant Sullivan, and Rosemary Rice. Today's program was written by Gilbert Braun, directed by Drex Hines. Jackson Beck speaking.
Kellogg's Raisin Bran has a secret. Kellogg's Raisin Bran has a secret.
And what a secret! In Kellogg's Raisin Bran, the tasty raisins are dipped in honeycomb. That means plumper, more tender raisins along with delicious golden crisp bran flakes. Both fruit and cereal all in one box. And no other Raisin Bran but Kellogg's gives you the tender goodness of raisins dipped in honeycomb. That's Kellogg's secret. So for your breakfast, make sure you get Kellogg's. Because
Kellogg's Raisin Bran has a secret.
This program came to you from...
Tired of the everyday grind? Ever dream of a life of romantic adventure? Want to get away from it all? We offer you Escape.
Escape, designed to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure.
You are in a lighthouse off the steaming coast of French Guiana, while around you, frightful in its fury, a nightmare of terror and violence is closing in on you. A nightmare from which there is no escape.
Tonight, by popular request, we repeat one of the most terrifying stories ever presented on Escape. Listen now as we bring you Free Skeleton Key by Georges Toudoux.
Picture this place. A gray tapering cylinder welded by iron rods and concrete to the key. Itself a bare black rock, 150 feet long, maybe 40 wide. That's at low tide. At high tide, just the light rising 110 feet straight up out of the ocean. And all about it, the churning water.
Gray-green, scum-dappled, warm as soup, and swarming with gigantic bat-like devilfish, great violet schools of the Portuguese man-of-war, and, yes, sharks, the big ones, the 15-footers. And as if that wasn't enough, there was a hot, dank, rotten-smelling wind that came at us day and night off the jungle swamps of the mainland. A wind that smells like death. Set in the base of the light was a watertight bronze door, and in you went, and up. Yes, up, and round, past the tanks of oil and the coils of rope, the cases of wicks, racks of lanterns, sacks of spuds, and cartons, and cans, and up, round and round. Over the light storeroom was the food storeroom, and over the food storeroom was the bunk room where the three of us slept. And over the bunk room was the living and cooking room. And over the living and cooking room was the light. She was a beauty, balanced like a ballerina on the glistening steel axle of her rotary mechanism. And at night you'd lie there on the stone deck of the gallery with her revolving smoothly and quietly over your head, easing her bright white eye 360 degrees around the horizon. You'd lie there, watching to see that the feeders kept working, that everything ran right. And it wouldn't be bad. The other two fellows snoring in their sacks 2 levels down. You'd smoke your pipe to kill the stink of the wind, and it wouldn't be bad. About those other two, Louis and Auguste. What a pair. Louis, he was head man, was a big fellow from the Basque country. Black beard, little hard black eyes, and a pair of arms that, I tell you, those arms were as big around as my legs. Yes, head man he was, and what word he let go was law. A silent fellow. And although I spent my first 2 weeks trying to strike up a real conversation, the most I could ever get out of him was...
John, I took up this profession because I don't like people. They talk too much. It's quiet work, light tending. Let's keep it that way. Understand? You're getting to be as bad as Auguste. But maybe for one thing...
That was Louis. And when he accused me of becoming like Auguste, I quietened down because Auguste was the talkingest man I'd ever met. The talkingest and the ugliest. He was hunchbacked, stood 4 feet high, had red hair and big blue eyes. It seems he'd been an actor in Paris.
I played in over 200 different productions, my dear boy, at the Grand Guignol. Oh, but it was monstrous, horrible, the way we used to scare the audiences. And I was hated. Yes, they used to throw things and hit and bare their teeth at me. Well, finally it got too bad, and I couldn't stand it any longer. I gave up the theater. My nerves, you understand. Yes, gave it up completely. I really did. Couldn't stand it any longer.
It all started one morning at 2:30. I was on watch, lying on the cool stone deck, pulling on my pipe, staring out at the blackness, the phosphorescent comas, and the big yellow stars, when out of the corner of my eye I noticed something show up for a second, something the light had touched, far off. I waited for her to come around again, and when she did, there it was. A 3-master. A big one. About a half mile off and coming down out of the Norna West, coming straight for us. You must understand our light was where it was for a very good reason. Dangerous submerged reefs around us, and ships kept clear. But this one, this sailing vessel, was coming straight on. I went over to the gallery door and yelled, "Louis! Louis!
What is it?
Ship! Headed for the reef!"
Coming right out.
I had the glasses out now. I couldn't make her name, but I could see her quite plainly. All sails set, the foam creaming away under her bow, her beautiful lines. A Dutch ship, I guessed her. But why didn't she turn? Every time it passed, our light hit her with the glare of day.
Ship? Where?
No, west. Light will touch her in a moment.
Can't they see?
Look at her. She just keeps coming on.
Squareheads.
What is it? What is it?
Watch Norna West.
No. I know what it is.
What?
The Dutchman. The Flying Dutchman. We did a play about her once. Oh, what a performance. You ghastly galleon, hag-ridden, curse-driven muscle.
Shut up. Shut up! She's luffing.
Yes.
A sloppy way to come about. No. She's derelict, that's it.
Derelict?
The crew left her for some reason or other. But instead of sinking, she's gone on, running before every wind.
She'll not run long, not with these reefs to break her up.
A beautiful ship. Now, why would men leave a beautiful ship like that?
She didn't ram us, although we all expected it. But as we waited for the crash, she luffed again, caught some odd gust, and went about. We watched her the rest of those black hours, heeling and rocking, pushed and pulled by every stray wind, every freak current. Watched her until the dawn came, till the sea turned from black to a pearly gray, and on she came again, heading for us. We all had our glasses trained on her now.
August, you can kill the light.
Right, Chief.
She doesn't look so good by daylight. Think she'll ground this time? I said, do you think she'll ground this time?
Oh, it's impossible. Absolutely impossible.
What?
Here, take my glasses. They're better than yours.
All right. What is it that you're... I had to focus. And then my breath froze in my throat. The decks were swarming with a dark brown carpet that looked like a gigantic fungus, but undulating. And on the masts and yards, the guys and all were hundreds, no thousands, no millions. I don't know. An uncountable number of tremendous rats.
You see them?
Yes, I see them.
Now we know why she's a derelict.
Yes, now we know.
What are you two doing here? Give me a look.
Yes, give him the glasses. Take a good look, chatterbox. Give you something to talk about.
She's still heading for us.
Yes.
But if she's going to turn, she'd better turn soon.
Suppose she doesn't.
You mean suppose she piles up on the quay?
Low tide?
Yes, it is.
Where was all the conversation, August, huh? Here, you want the glasses again? You want another look?
No.
She's still coming on.
Go away.
Go away. Turn, I say. I pray you, turn. She struck.
The rats. Look, underwater, like a carpet.
They're swimming.
Sure, they're swimming. Those are ship's rats.
But they're swimming for the rocks.
The door below is open.
Come on. August, get the windows. Maybe they can climb.
Right, Chief, but hurry. Hurry.
You see them?
No. Oh, yes, I do. Up at the other end of the rocks.
Look at them.
Millions.
They smell it. Here they come. The door. Close the door.
And it's stuck.
Here, let me.
Here. Made it.
Oh, that was close.
What does he look there?
What did he...
Kick him. No.
What a brute.
Oh, he was as big as a tomcat. Bigger. Eyes were wild and red. His teeth long, sharp, and yellow. He went for it. Carrying, ramming it. And we fought that one rat all over the room. It was like fighting a panther.
I got it.
We better get aloft. As we ran up the winding staircase, we passed the tiny windows of the various levels, and at every one was a thick, wriggling, screaming curtain of brown fur. I was ahead of Louis, and I dreaded each successful level. Suppose they found a way in?
Look at them. Oh, will you look at them?
It's a nightmare.
Will you look at them?
The air of the gallery was thick and fetid with the stink of them. The light was dim, brown, filtered through the crawling mass that swarmed over the glass. All about us, we couldn't see the sky. Nothing. Nothing but them. Their red eyes, their claws, their wriggling, hairy snouts, and their teeth. The rats. They screamed and howled and threw themselves against the glass. They were starving. And we three, we stood in the center of the glass room under our beautiful light. And we waited.
What can we do? What can we do, chief?
Take it easy, August. Take it easy.
I can't. I just can't.
It won't do any good to... It won't do any good to stand here and shake.
That's right.
Go away. Go away. Do you hear me? Go away this instant.
They won't go away until...
Until what?
Until they've been... fed.
We will return to Escape in just a moment. Academy Award winner Joan Fontaine will be your star in Leave Her to Heaven on the Lux Summer Theater on CBS Radio tomorrow evening. You'll enjoy this celebrated story of a ruthless woman who destroys the things she loves, and you'll like Joan Fontaine in this dramatic role. That's Leave Her to Heaven, starring Joan Fontaine, tomorrow evening's Lux Summer Theater show on most of these same CBS radio stations. And now, back to Escape.
You can take so much horror, and then you get used to it. And they were interesting to watch, you know. They couldn't understand the glass. They could see us, and they could rush at us, but that thin, invisible barrier held them off. It stopped them. From time to time, we caught a glimpse of the rocks below. More rats down there, swarming brown velvet in the bright tropical sunlight. And then the tide began to rise. If only it would drown some of them.
Ship's rats don't drown. No, sir.
You can't drown them. They're still climbing. They're all climbing up to the tower.
This bunch around us is getting thicker.
What's the time?
5:45. You got the first watch going.
Right.
Wake me at 10.
I will.
Come along, Auguste.
It was getting dark. One side of the room was lit a soft, filtered red. Sunset through the rafts. Oh, very pretty. I set the wick, I checked my fuel, and then lit the lamp. It caught them. Lit them in their gigantic, wriggling web of pale, hairless bellies, twitching red tails, bright eyes. And I started the rotary motor. The light drove them mad. As she swung slowly and smoothly about, she blinded them in the fierce, stabbing bar of light, moving continually about, ever turning, ever touching, ever moving around and around, and they twitching and shuddering, eyes straining when they were struck by the light, the bright light moving, and behind, on the dark side of the room, so close, I dare not turn my back, but you can't help turning your back when you're in a room made of glass. On the dark side of the room, you couldn't see them, but only their eyes. Thousands of points of blank red light, blinking and twinkling like the stars of hell. Louis relieved me at 10. But I didn't get much sleep that night, and when I came up into the gallery early the next morning, there stood Auguste, his back to me. He was bowing to the raft, waving his arms, and so helped me making a speech.
And this morning, my dear audience, I'm going to play once again that magnificent role which made me the toast of the Paris Theater. Freddy, the evil genius of the medieval underworld. I am he who did guide the dark soul of the Maréchal into the nether paths.
They kept turning. I stood staring at him, horror-struck, but he didn't notice me. The man had gone mad. They kept turning, telling his stories to all the rats, leaving no one out. August! August!
Ah, another one. A latecomer. Take a seat on the aisle, dear faithful.
Stop it! Stop it! He didn't stop. He went on, bowing, scraping to the rats, his big blue eyes rolling and winking, his wild red hair waving about him. I grabbed him by the arms and slapped his face. And he looked at me like a child, and then his face screwed up as though he were about to cry. Go below. Go on.
Very well, then. Later, my dear audience. Later. Matinee today.
Sure, he was crazy. I guess we all were. A few hours later, he came back up and caught Louie and me teasing the rat. Yes? Sounds horrible? It was fun. We'd get right up against the glass and make faces at them. It drove them crazy. They would scratch away trying to get at our eyes. Auguste joined in, too. Oh, very ingenious, Auguste. He learned that if he strangled himself against the glass, they'd bunch and bundle against his figure. Then he'd leap back.
Look! My portrait in rat!
It went on all day like that. They put Auguste in bed. He went to sleep like a baby, smiling. And then it was about midnight. I was very tired, and I was just beginning to fall off to sleep myself when I became conscious of the new sound. I couldn't figure it at first. I got up, I lit the lamp, went to the window. And even as I looked at it, I saw one of the panes begin to sag. They'd eaten the wood away. Louie, come quick!
What is it?
They found a way in. I held the glass with my hand. Now they were all going crazy, and assured of the success of this maneuver, were all nibbling away at the wood. Louis ran below and then returned with a large sheet of tin. Tied it against the window and hammered it into place. Even as we did so, we felt the heavy bodies thudding against the other side as the window gave way.
There, it ought to hold. If it doesn't, we're done for.
Rats can't eat tin.
No, they can't. What was that?
I don't know.
It came from below.
The storeroom window.
They're in. They're swarming up the stairs.
Got the trap.
Right.
Two of them got in. Get them! Louis didn't have time to get them. They came to us. I leapt to one side. I grabbed them on and spiked one and smashed one in midair. I whirled to see Louis with the other. It had ripped his hand open. The blood was pouring all over the place. He held his hand aloft and kicked at the snarling rat, and I stepped and swung and got him.
My hand! He got my hand!
That's both of them, Louis. I'll get you something to tie that up.
Blood. Look at my blood. I'm bleeding.
Don't worry about it, Louis. Yes, all right. I want this handkerchief around it. It'll be okay.
Blood.
Here. There you are. There. That's not bad. Not just the flesh. And then I became conscious of a new sound. They were gnawing their way through the wooden trapdoor. I watched the wood, fascinated. And even as I did, it began to give way, and a bristling, whiskery nose showed through. Louis, we've got to go up. The next level was the living quarters and kitchen. I slammed the trap there, but it too was of wood.
My blood. John, what are we going to do?
I don't know. They'll be through this one in a moment.
The gallery. The trapdoor in the gallery is metal.
Good, come on. We lay across the trap exhausted while below us, the rats took over the entire tower. I could hear them howling and fighting over our food supply, our water, our leather. And all about us the others screamed and glared in at us, swayed in a tangled mass, hypnotized by the ever-turning light. By morning, the air in the little room was horrible. Until now, we'd been getting air from the tower below, and now that was sealed off, and so was all our food and water. We lay exhausted, panting, waiting. The hours crawled on. I was almost dozing from fatigue when I heard a sight that brought me too fast.
Would you like to come in, my beauty? Would you? I hold the powers of life and death, and I can let you in, you know.
August was standing by the glass, and in one hand he held a big wrench. He was tapping the glass gently, not quite hard enough to break it. Slowly, I eased myself to my feet and slowly, very slowly, tiptoed toward him.
All I have to do is tap just a little harder.
I found a coil of wire in the toolkit, and I trussed him up, fastened him to a stanchion in the center of the room. Louis was of no help. He lay on his side, looking at his bloody hand, weak and sick as a baby. So there I was, a lunatic and a coward for company. That night I tended the light, but its flame was devouring our oxygen. The following day we lay thirst-tormented, starving, waiting. And the following night I again tended the light, but the small supply of spare wicking we kept in the gallery had become exhausted. And at about midnight, the light began to flicker. And slowly, so slowly, began to go out. There was nothing I could do. Wicks were stored 3 levels below. Nothing I could do. Nothing. From time to time, I'd strike a match to see the clock. And when I did, it lit up the million red eyes about us. All about. Watching. Waiting. Below, it had grown quiet. They'd cleaned us out, and now they, too, were waiting. All waiting. And then the rat, quite suddenly, was silent. And then I heard it. And then I saw the sky and the stars. The rats were gone. I went to the glass. Out there on the water, a small freighter, a banana boat showing a few lights, came softly and innocently at us. The light was out. They didn't know. I wanted to open the windows to call out to them, to warn them. But I was afraid. What if the rats were hiding from me, tricking me? So I waited. She grounded very softly on a reef not 200 yards from the quay. Grounded so gently that the man playing the cornet, was he a passenger, a crewman of watch, didn't even stop playing. They tried washing her off. I could have told them to save their fuel. The tide was rising, would have floated her free. And I waited. That's all. That's the story. The sun came up, and there wasn't a rat on the whole quay. Every last one of that terrible army had left us, gone back to sea on their new ship. August, insane asylum. He never recovered. Then Louis, they took him into Cayenne, where he died of blood poisoning from his bite. Yes, that's the whole of it. Now, if you'll excuse me, I must go set my trap. Oh, no. Mouse trap. No rats in this lighthouse. I should say not. Life in the lights isn't bad. But sometimes when I see a strange vessel approaching, I get a little nervous. Yes. When you know that somewhere on the sea there's a little banana boat without a crew, that is, without a human crew.
Under the direction of Anthony Ellis, Escape has brought you Three Skeleton Key by Georges Toudoux, adapted by James Poe, starring Ben Wright as Jean, Paul Frees as Louis, and Jane Novello as Auguste. The special music for Escape was composed and conducted by Leith Stevens. Next week.
You are 100 miles from your own lines, waiting for the enemy who will lead you to your destination, while with every moment the danger to you and your men becomes more acute. For if you are discovered, the only road of escape will be death.
So listen next week when Escape will bring you Gus Bay's exciting story, The 13th Truck. Tomorrow evening, CBS Radio's Crime Classics presents the stirring story of the Axe and the Droot family, how they fared. It's several pages of criminal history you're sure to enjoy. So be listening for Crime Classics, presented by CBS Radio tomorrow evening on most of these same CBS radio stations. This is George Walsh speaking. And remember, there's action as a policeman really finds it in 21st Precinct, Tuesdays on the CBS Radio Network.
Nestle's Ever-Ready, the instant cocoa. Nestle's Quick for great chocolate milk. And Nestle's chocolate bars now present Space Patrol! High adventure in the wild, vast reaches of space. Missions of daring in the name of interplanetary justice. Travel into the future with Buzz Corey, Commander-in-Chief of the Space Patrol! In today's transcribed Space Patrol adventure, Buzz is at the controls of a strange spaceship in another galaxy. Happy is nearby in the Terra 5. In contact by miniature spaceophone, they plan to rescue a fellow Space Patrol pilot.
That enemy ship is gaining on Northfield, Commander. If I pulled ahead now, maybe I could throw him off.
No, Happy. He'd get you and Northfield both. I'd stand a better chance than you because I'm in an enemy ship.
Hey, that's great. Hey, he'll think you're his buddy.
Now stick close, Hap, as though the Terra 5 was still captured.
Yes, sir. If we can fool that enemy pilot for a few minutes more, we can rescue Northfield. Uh-oh. Commander, this is terrible.
What is it, Hap?
I just picked up the enemy commander's spacephone channel. He knows we've escaped. He just gave that enemy pilot orders to blast both our ships.
We'll return in just a moment with a thrilling story, The Lost Galaxy.
Say, Commander, you coming to the Christmas party today?
Sure I have. Wouldn't miss it for anything. Space Patrol parties have always been so warm and jolly, just like family Christmas get-together.
Gee, they certainly are a treat for those of us who don't get to go home. And say, you ought to see what Captain Tufeld has cooked up for refreshments.
I knew you'd be in on that.
Well, Chuck, as head of the entertainment committee, I had to be sure everything would be right. And, well, of course, I wanted to help, so, well, let's see. What was I saying now? Oh, yeah. We've got a whole raft of sensational Toll House cookies made with Nestle's cookie mix and Nestle's semi-sweet morsels. And brownies, and plenty of fancy cookies, too. A couple of platters of them.
That's for me.
Wait, that's not all. We've got all Nestle's chocolate bars. Milk chocolate, almond, crunch, and the new coconut bar. Big ones, too.
Sounds fine. Go on.
Well, we'll have our choice of drinks. cold chocolate milk made with Nestle's Quick, or Nestle's Ever Ready for hot cocoa.
Oh, that's a splendid spread, huh? I really must congratulate the food committee. Oh, just one thing. Try not to eat all that good food before the rest of the gang gets there, will you?
Smoking rockets, Commander. Well, smoking rockets is all I can say. Of course, there'll be plenty of food for everybody, but, well, if I were you, I wouldn't get there too late.
And now, today's Space Patrol adventure, The Lost Galaxy. A United Planets Space Observatory out beyond the Pluto orbit has been picking up strange electromagnetic impulses from a remote part of the galaxy. Tests revealed a pattern that scientists could interpret only as signals, radio signals produced by intelligent beings in an uncharted region of space. Commander Corey dispatched 4 star-drive spaceships to investigate. Equipped with transmitters that operate through hyperspace, the expedition kept up its regular schedule of reports for 2 days. But now, for 24 hours, not one of the 4 ships has been heard from. Buzz has called Cadet Happy to his central office in Space Patrol headquarters on the man-made planet Terra.
Did we finally get word from Expedition Enigma, Commander?
No, Hap. I'm worried. The last report was received 24 hours ago from Captain Northfield.
We've missed 12 reports.
Yes. Whatever happened must have happened to all the ships simultaneously.
Yeah. Or one of them could have Space Patrol to warn.
We know from our own experience that hyperspace transmission of signals isn't always perfect.
Hey, how about that Space Observatory out there on Pluto? Are they still receiving those mysterious signals?
Yes, that proves nothing. Those signals are coming through regular space. Past the point where we last heard from Northfield about 500,000 light years ago.
Oh, that's right. Can you tell us a thing about what's happening out there now?
There's one way to find out. We'll go after them.
I'm all for that, sir, but all we know where they are.
One thing's certain. We'll be 500,000 light years closer than we are now. Let's go.
Now, for the first time in the entire history of the vast Black Sox star system, an atmosphere of tense excitement pervades the headquarters of the Guardian of the Galaxy. Only Makor, the Guardian, retains his usual calm as he discusses alarming news with his chief aide, Sindrana.
You have heard the report, I suppose, Sindrana?
Yes, Makor. And I assume you want me to issue a denial of this preposterous rumor and spread it throughout the galaxy.
It is not a rumor. It is fact. Space-phone conversation in an unknown language have been picked up at several different points.
But do you realize what you're saying, Excellency? You are saying that there is intelligent life outside of the Draxox star system.
Certainly. Isn't that why we have a guardian? There is no danger of attack from inside. Therefore, our function is to be prepared for trouble from outside.
But that's just superstition, a fairy tale, a game children play. The idea that Draxox should be attacked...
Sindrana! Are you accusing me of being a figurehead?
No.
Or that this service is a farce, a mockery?
No, Makor. It's just that for generations there's been no sign of intelligent life anywhere but in Draxox.
Just the same. When the signals intercepted, 4 spaceships are moving through our galaxy.
If there isn't much danger, 4 ships couldn't conquer the galaxy.
The signals we have picked out may be merely the advance count of a vast fleet of ships. These scouts must be located and destroyed.
But their weapons may be far more powerful than ours. A race of beings that could come here from another galaxy. Why, they must surpass us in intelligence.
Yes, the way we surpass a toad. Thanks to our far-sighted ancestors who planned our defense 30 generations ago, we wouldn't be entirely helpless.
We have so few armed spaceships, and not enough men trained to fly what ship we have.
One weapon is already in operation. The electronic signal deflector.
But if the enemy is already within our galaxy, what good will it do?
Well, will keep him from contacting any of his attack force at a great distance from our solar system. And at a closer distance, the curved signals will confuse the enemy.
Our own ships will also be confused.
Yes, but to a lesser degree. Some of our ships have deflection detectors, so they can compensate for the attack. If we work fast and efficiently, we can rid ourselves of the intruder.
I shall be glad to offer my services in any way.
You will take a scout ship and blast off immediately to a point near to the perimeter of our galaxy. Now, here are your detailed orders.
Meantime, Buzz and Happy and the Terra 5 have emerged from Star Drive at the approximate point where Captain Northfield gave his last report. While Happy carefully watches the viewscopes, Buzz makes repeated attempts to contact the missing Space Patrol ships.
Mandatory aboard Terra 5, calling all units of Expedition Enigma. Corey to all units of Expedition Enigma. No sighting jet, Commander.
The ships may be out of range, Hap. They're probably still heading toward the interior of the galaxy.
And on top of that, they're spreading out in different directions.
Well, my guess is they wanted to star drive again so we could reach the source of those signals a lot quicker.
Yeah. And when they came out, something happened before they could space them back to Terra.
I'll try once more and look in the star drive.
Mandatory aboard Terra 5, calling units of Expedition Enigma. Give me some sort of signal if you can as I call your names. Lieutenant Beaker. Lieutenant Stitter. Lieutenant Marsden. Captain Norfield.
Norfield here, Commander.
Cinnamon Comets at last. Well, it's good to hear your voice, Captain. Are you in trouble?
No, outside of being a trifle lost.
What about the other boys?
I haven't heard from any of them for several hours, Commander. After we found out, we had trouble making contact by spacephone.
Have you been making your reports to Terra?
Yes, sir. 2-hour intervals. Haven't they been received?
And our last contact with you was your 1600-hour report yesterday.
I haven't heard any space patrol signals since that time either, until now. Whatever the interference was, it's okay now. Reading you fine, just as clear as if you were in this galaxy.
Norfield, I am in the galaxy. Happy and I blasted off to see what had happened to you.
Well, now that you're here, sir, I can tell you this. It's good to have company.
Something is wrong, Norfield.
It's my instruments, Commander. The astrogation bank especially. They're out of adjustment. That's one of the reasons I lost contact with the other ships.
What was the last contact?
With Lieutenant Stitter, sir. He said he had sighted a planet that looked pretty good and he was going to investigate it.
By pretty good, did he mean he was receiving those mysterious signals from it?
I assumed he meant that, Commander, that being the purpose of the expedition. Right then he faded out. After that, I noticed that my spacephone fix on Stitter didn't check with my astrogation instrument.
This is serious, Norfield. If your astrogation instruments are off, you can't plot a hyperspace vector for a return to Terra. And at this 500,000 light-year distance, the error could be tremendous.
Yes, I know. I've been trying to locate the trouble.
Well, hold your present vector. We'll follow your spacephone signal until we pick you up on our viewscope.
Very good, sir.
We've got to correct those instruments of yours, Captain. Put on your ID signal and we'll write it in.
In his headquarters, Makor, the guardian of Graxok, has finally contacted his chief aide, Sinzana, after considerable difficulty.
I've been trying to contact you. What have you been up to?
Sorry, Excellency. It's these deflection fields. They're playing havoc with communications.
Have you located any of the enemy ships?
Not visually, Baker. However, I have picked up 2 spacephone conversations. That is, I assume they were conversations.
Well, isn't your translator working?
I've tried all the regular circuit combinations with the galaxy languages, Baker. I don't think our translator will handle non-galaxy speech.
All right. Don't waste any more time. They are probably exchanging information for an attack. The quicker you destroy them, the better. The Alpha Ray will destroy all forms of life higher than ours. It was designed for this specific purpose.
It's hard to have confidence in a weapon that one has never seen used, and one that hasn't even been tested for 10 centuries.
It will work. It was designed according to scientific principles. When directed properly toward our enemies, the Alpha Ray will destroy them. Proceed as commanded.
With Captain Norfield's identification signals sounding in their spaceophone receiver, Buzz and Happy speed to contact their fellow space patroller.
Hey, what's happening to the signal? We're getting closer to Northfield, so we should be coming in stronger.
There's a strange drift operating here, huh? Electromagnetic drift.
You'll hold this back, but maybe they'll clear up again. Commander, the viewscope. There's a ship.
Good. Apparently the drift isn't affecting the viewscope frequency.
Well, for a minute there, I was afraid we'd lost Captain Norfield.
When we're a few DUs closer, we'll try contacting him at another frequency.
Captain's transmitter must have failed completely, sir. As close as we are to his ship, we surely ought to be able to...
That's not a space patrol ship.
Hey, it sure isn't. But then what ship is it?
Probably a patrol ship from this galaxy investigating us. Put on the frequency scanner. See if we can pick up a signal from them. I'll put in a translator.
Right, sir.
Transport, Nimok. Donya Grobek Cirila.
Hold it there. Yes, sir.
Vidyalano. Ai, Red, Toba, was on a clone.
Is he talking to us? I'll try some other translator settings. It's another voice. Same tone.
Sani Bruzline. Plane.
Oh, he sure sounds excited.
Miss Boba, Rick, Rihanna. The enemy is in range.
You got it, sir.
Beast, no more time. Destroy them.
I'll make him understand how to put on the translator.
Yes, sir.
Sindrana, this is the pilot of the ship you regard as an enemy. Can you hear me?
Did you hear that? Hear what? That voice that spoke to me by name in our language. Dragsock.
Yes, I spoke to you. I have an instrument that can translate most languages. We're here on a peaceful mission.
They say they're on a peaceful mission. Can you hear them? No, I can't. You have your orders. Destroy them. Very well, people. I will use the ultimate.
Stand the rest of it. Fire at him. Port and stop. I can't move.
I've used the ultra-ray, Maycoy. The enemy is destroyed.
We'll return to Space Patrol in just a moment.
Say, gang, let's go around and see Captain Tito and see how the Christmas party's coming along. Hi there, Captain Tito.
Oh, hi, Tony.
Miss Carol asked me to come over and see if there was anything I could do to help you.
Well, Tony, it's mighty nice of you to drop in, and Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas to you, Captain. This boss has some extra cookies that Carol baked for us. Look, she made lots of Tool House cookies with Nestle's Cookie Mix and Finny Sweet Morsels. And here's brownies. Oh, boy, and Santa Claus cookies and chocolate pinwheels. Gee, it makes me hungry just to think about it. May I have another?
Hey, easy there, Tony. Let's not eat up the whole party before it starts.
Okay. Say, I hope you've got plenty of Nestle's chocolate bars.
Why, sure thing. See, this whole basket's full of milk chocolate, almond, crunch, and the new Nestle's coconut bar. How's that?
Out of this universe. I'm glad you got the big size. What's to drink?
Plenty of milk in the thermo freeze and plenty of Nestle's Quick, so we can make all the delicious chocolate milk you can drink. And a big supply of Nestle's Ever-Ready Cocoa for all those who want something hot.
Smokin' rocket. If this party isn't the greatest, well, it ought to be super cosmic.
Well, Tony, I certainly hope so. The gang's been looking forward to Christmas and our little celebration. But right now, we better get the presents sorted and piled up. Now, no fair peeking. I'll see you at the party later.
Boy, you can bet on that. I'll be the first through the door. I want to be sure Hap doesn't beat me to the refreshments.
And now, back to our Space Patrol adventure, The Lost Galaxy. Buzz and Happy are in a remote galaxy to find 4 lost Space Patrol ships. Fearing an invasion, the Guardian of the Galaxy dispatched his chief aide, Sindrana, to destroy every strange ship encountered. Using his electronic translator, Buzz was able to establish contact with Sindrana. Despite the commander's protest that he was on a peaceful mission, Sindrana discharged a weapon that for centuries has been kept in readiness for a possible invader. Confident that he's destroyed his enemy, Sindrana reports to Makor, guardian of the Graxox star system.
The enemy ship is continuing its original course, Makor.
If you change your course, Sindrana?
Yes, as a test. The ship is not attempting to follow me. Therefore, its pilot and other occupants, if any, have been eliminated by the ultra-ray.
Well, then board it. By studying the controls, you will probably be able to cut off its power. Then it can be easily brought to our main spaceport.
Very good. I'll board this ship.
Be very careful. Be sure the seal is tight around their airlock before you enter.
But I'll be using a spacesuit.
Of course you will. But I want to preserve the air within their ship. It will tell us about the type of worlds they come from.
There may be a period when I'll be out of contact with you. The space phone in my spacesuit isn't powerful enough to reach your headquarters.
Then simply relay it to your ship transmitter. Now hurry. Get aboard that enemy ship.
Meantime, Buzz and Happy lie motionless on the deck of the Terrifier, just as they fell when Sindrana discharged the ultra-ray. Moments passed. Then a slight movement, a twitch of Happy's fingers. Now the commander's eyelids flickered.
Are you okay? Yes, I'm sort of numb and fuzzy-headed. I can move my arms a little bit now. Wow, that ultra-ray, whatever it is, sure packs a wallop.
Yes, but lucky for us, not as much as it was supposed to.
I'm in the airlock of the enemy ship, Nicole.
It's coming out of our spacesuit.
Be sure there is no leak as you enter the ship. The outer hatch is closed tight. Now I'm opening the inner hatch. What is the matter? These creatures, these beings from another galaxy. 2 of them lying here in the control compartment. stop gibbering. Naturally, they are complex monsters. They cannot. You don't understand. Maycore, they're human. They're just like you and me, human beings. Not in appearance, perhaps, but the older race is more old than what's really different about them. They're super intelligent. Yes. I've just looked at my atmosphere analyzer unit. The air in this ship is similar to that on many of our planets. I'm going to take a chance and lift my helmet facepiece.
Ordinary air. And the temperature is very comfortable.
Get to work and figure out their controls.
Yes, right away. Strange that beings with heads no larger than ours are capable of such vast intelligence.
You are trying my patience, Sindrana.
Just one close look. Amazing. Different clothes. They could pass for an inhabitant of any of our... They're alive.
Bet we are. I'll handle them, Hap.
Maycore, they're alive. They're...
It's Sindrana. What's happening out there? Answer me.
Yes, sir.
Sindrana, something wrong. Can you hear me? Are we having trouble with the reception at there?
Transmitter's off. Come to receiver, too. Can you handle that guy, sir?
Yes. I'll do one of those portable translators. We'll need it to compass.
Okay, Commander.
While I'm talking to him, you try to pick up that ID signal from Captain Norfield's ship.
Right, sir. Hey, here's the miniature translator, sir. I'll adjust it for you. And that's for reading for the big job in the control panel.
Hold still, you. Cover to my belt. Explain things to Suzanne. We'd better hurry. He's half out of his mind with terror.
It should work now, sir.
Thanks. Now listen, Sanzana. Quiet down. You won't get hurt. I'll let you go now. But don't try anything. We have weapons here that are a little more effective than your Alpha. Understand?
I understand.
I came here to rescue 4 scout ships on a scientific mission. Our scientists picked up spaceophone signals from your galaxy. They sent out an expedition to find out where they came from. I see you don't believe me. It's the truth. Anyway, the expedition's reports were cut off. Apparently, there's some sort of interference originating in this galaxy.
Then our deflecting field is successful. You can't contact your invasion fleet.
Deflecting field? Yes.
Electromagnetic waves, including spacephone signals, are slightly bent.
Between galaxies, the error would be enormous.
Yeah, but playing billiards with a bent cue on a warped cable.
Really?
One of your super intelligent games. Not the way I play it. Hey, Commander. You picked up Captain Norfield.
Good. I'll try to contact him. Keep an eye on him.
Yes, sir.
Commander Corey aboard Terra 5 calling Captain Norfield. Commander Corey to Captain Norfield.
Norfield here, Commander, and busy.
What's the trouble?
Seems I'm not popular in this galaxy, sir. Some of the local talents on my tail throwing go-away presents at me. They're not candy and flowers.
Explosives?
The large economy size.
We got something a little different, but we're okay now. How many ships are after you?
Just one, but he'll do. I fired everything at him but the space rations. Now I'm down to a basic tactics only.
Keep your ID signal on. We'll join you. Corey out.
Thanks, Commander. I'll be seeing you. I hope.
Sindrana, get on the space phone and call off that attack.
Even if you force me, I have no authority over that other Graxock pilot. Maycore is in supreme command.
We won't waste time. Got to separate our ship from Sindrana's so we can maneuver and catch up with Norfield. Yes, you take the control. I'll take Sindrana into his ship. Now get going, Sindrana. Into the airlock. In the Graxock ship a moment later, Buzz forces the half-frightened and half-defiant Sindrana to the control panel. All right, Sindrana. Put your ship loose from ours. No tricks.
You can't force me to fight against my own people.
If you weren't so thick-headed, you'd understand there's no reason for a fight. Now call off that pilot, and we'll leave you alone. All we want to do is get back to our own galaxy.
Cadet Happy to Commander Corey.
Corey here, Hap. Sindrana's acting stubborn. He won't cut Terra 5 loose.
Sir, I've just sighted Norfield in the viewscope. The Graxock pilot is giving him a rough time, sir.
So we'll join the battle, Hap. You have to do all the work. You'll find it tough to overcome the extra inertia of this ship, plus its rocket blast.
Yeah, like being in a boxing match with a keg of nails under one arm. But if I can get on another pilot's tail and fly a fairly straight approach, well, I can let him have a blast with our atom cannons.
That's the way it'll have to be, Hap.
Right. That pilot sees I'm firing at him, he's going to fire back. And we'll be as helpless as a couple of sitting ducks with locked wings.
Wait, I'll cut your ship loose.
I thought the same thing.
There. The ship was separated. But I won't join the fight.
Hap, you're free. The Terra 5 is on its own now.
Commander, the enemy ship is gaining on Norfield. If I pulled ahead now, maybe I could draw him off.
No, Hap. We'll get you and Norfield both. I'd stand a better chance because I'm in one of their Draxock ships.
Hey, that's great.
Now stick close, Hap, as though the Terra 5 were still captured.
Yes, sir. Yeah, if we can keep that guy fooled for a few minutes more, we can rescue Northfield. Uh-oh. Hey, Commander, this is terrible.
What is it, Happy?
I just picked up the enemy commander's spacephone channel. He knows we've escaped. He just gave that enemy pilot orders to blast both our ships.
You heard that, Suzanne. You're in for it. Let me take this ship away from here. If you run out, Happy will have to blow up that other ship. The pilot is of his own galaxy. Don't you want to save him? He has his orders to make him. Now, look, just stun him with your ultimate. The way you did Happy and me, it won't hurt him. You'll save his life. You can tell Mayco it was an accident.
Commander, shall I go after that Draxock pilot?
Fire some bracket shots around him to get him off Northfield. I'm going to try to operate the Alta Ray myself. You can't do it. Even with your superior intelligence, a theory I'm beginning to doubt. Let's go, you see. I see. This control might be right. No, a second. Oh, while you're playing with those controls, my fellow Draxock pilot will destroy your friend Happy. Now, keep still and let me alone. Let's see. Now, Corey. Now, lady, your strategy worked. I knew I would get you off guard. That's the fact. You try to interfere, I'll use your own weapon on you. What are you going to do? Yes. I'm going to focus the Alta Ray on your Terra 5 and take Happy out of the fight. Things are worse a bit. Well, now the Alta Ray. Don't touch that switch. Let me go now, Corey. When I throw this switch, your cadet will be... Stand back, Corey. I'll fire. I warn you. I'll take my gun back to the runner. I forgot to tell you the safety of it. The gun won't fire unless you test this lock. You let me take the gun away from you. I'll tell it to you. I want to find out how the Alta Ray works, so I'll let you go.
Commander, Sindrana's pal is firing at us. Shall I let him have it?
No, Hap. This Alta Ray will take care of him. Stay where you are, Safari. This way. I hope that got him.
I think it did, sir. He was using evasive action all over space, and now he's on a straight vector.
Keep an eye on him, Hap. Listen, Drama. Call Mayco. Of course. But on that space phone, tell him what happened to his pilot. I'll tell him. Chief Aide Sindrana calling Mayco, guardian of Draxock.
Mayco, former Chief Aide Sindrana. Boy, had you.
It wasn't my fault. The Alta Ray is a failure. Not quite, Mayco. You took care of your other assassin.
What's that, Sindrana?
One of the invaders. He turned the Alta Ray and my ship on our other pilot. Yes, and right now he's unconscious and headed out of the galaxy. If you want to save him, you'd better listen to reason.
You, the Alta Ray, one of our people. What barbaric? You invaders.
We're not invaders. All we want to do is get out of your galaxy and return home. Now cut off your electromagnetic deflectors so we can set an accurate vector on our star drive.
If I cut off the deflectors, your whole attack force will stream into our galaxy.
We don't have an attack force, but suppose we did. Suppose we took a chance and got home with your two men, Sindrana and that pilot. We'd know the secret of your deflectors, your ships, and all your defenses.
If I do cut the deflectors,
You'll give Sindrana a chance to rescue that other pilot. You can bring both your ships safely back to base. Please, Excellency. Do as he says.
all right, boys. I'll order the deflectors cut off.
Fine. Happy, are you with us?
Yes, sir.
Sindrana and I will overtake that other ship at Mayco. Now cut off the translator. Someone may be listening.
Yes, sir. All clear, sir.
Trail me to the other ship. I know a few rope tricks that'll keep Sindrana and his pal from using their Alta Rays and space cannon until we're on our way in Terra 5.
Yes, sir.
We've got a job to do before we return to Terra. We've got to find those other three ships of the expedition.
Captain Northfield, Commander. Pardon my interrupting, but can I get in on this project?
Well, it's back to Terra for you, Northfield. Hap and I can handle it.
I don't doubt that, Commander. Thanks for saving my life. And I want to include Cadet Happy in on that, too.
We'll see you on Terra, Captain. Hap and I have got a few chores to do.
Good luck, Commander. Talk to you about it. Say, Commander, something's been bothering me. I feel sort of insulted.
Insulted? How?
Well, about that Alta Ray. It's supposed to destroy intelligent people. And it only stunned us. I guess we must be pretty dumb.
Well, think of it this way, huh? Would you have felt any better if the Alta Ray had proved you were a genius?
Gee, no. I wouldn't be around to feel anything. I guess sometimes it's smart to be stupid.
An action preview of next week's exciting Space Patrol adventure in just a moment.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh.
Hey, that's pretty good.
Say, Hap, Dick, Carol, Robbie, Tony, everybody. It was a wonderful party and the best Christmas day we've ever had. The presents, the entertainment, the Nestle's refreshments, it couldn't have been better. I want to thank one and all.
Now I'd like to make a little speech, and this is serious, James. To all our radio friends, I'd like to wish the very happiest of Christmases. We're real glad to have had you with us at our party today, and we hope you'll be around for lots more parties to come.
And I'd like to add a word from the Nestle Company, which sends its sincerest wishes for a merry and warm Christmas to all its friends from coast to coast. Have a wonderful day.
And now, a preview of next week's exciting Space Patrol adventures. Buzz and Happy have landed on a strange planet in a remote galaxy. In their spacesuits, they've boarded a stranded spaceship to rescue a fellow space patroller. Buzz carries the wounded pilot into the airline.
Open the outer hatch, Hap. Yes, sir. Hey, what's that sound? Take a look outside. Commander, that stream of liquid, or that metal, or whatever it is rising up all around the ship. And the ladder's gone. Dissolved. Hap, we're stranded in a river of corrosive acid. If we don't get out of here, it'll dissolve the entire ship, and us with it.
Be sure to join us next week for the thrilling Space Patrol story, Ambush in Space. Space Patrol, created by Mike Moser, starring Ed Kemmer as Commander Corey and Lynn Osborne as Cadet Happy, was written by Lou Houston, produced and directed by Larry Robertson, executive producer Helen Moser. Other players were Bela Kovacs, Ken Mayer, Norman Jolly, and Tony Side. Dick Tufeld speaking. Now, don't forget to tune in next Saturday for exciting action on Space Patrol! This week's Space Patrol was brought to you by Nestle's Eveready, the instant cocoa, Nestle's Quick for great chocolate milk, and famous Nestle's chocolate bars. This program is broadcast for Armed Forces overseas through the worldwide facilities of the Armed Forces Radio Service. Space Patrol came to you transcribed from Hollywood.
This is ABC Radio Network.